Na ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, muziki kata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington DC. We will shortly be going live on YouTube, so call all your YouTube friends. Please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mic Show, and follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show, and we are now on TikTok, so please remember to follow us. We are also taking live calls tonight. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. So save that number because we'll be expecting to hear back from you. The number again is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Now later tonight, we'll be asking what the role of the diaspora in the U.S. can play in impacting political gains following the Gen Z revolution back in Kenya. Now, this being an election year in the U.S., we're exposing American entities that have encouraged William Ruto to enforce oppressive tax policies in Kenya have any effect? That's a question we'll be asking tonight. Feel free to start typing and dropping comments below, and let us know if your city has taken part in the protests or if it's planning to have one. So type up in the comments below and let us know where you're tuned in from. Na bila kusahau, tunapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Moshfire, ambaye hayupo studio leo, na tutadunda viwanjani na Mika Ojes yake na matasaba mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro studios, mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour we'll be talking to the organizers of the DC Reject Finance Bill 2024 protests. And in studio we have Val Githae, Robert Bett, and Kelvin Kibet. We shall be talking about the protests at the Kenyan Embassy in DC and in other cities in the US. We'll also be discussing if President Ruto will survive this storm of protests that have hit his administration with a loud thunderclap. Please drop a comment below and tell us where you are tuned in from, and tell us if there's a protest happening in your city or if there's a protest that's about to happen in your city. So feel free to drop in the comments and let us know. And remember, if you're in the comments, you can type, what is it, at everyone, at highlights, or those new features that Facebook have to let everyone else know that we are live. And you can tag your friends and call everyone else along who's planning to hold a protest so that they can hear from a city that has already held one. Now, I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 28th of June, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to follow us, follow The One Mic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and we're now on TikTok. On panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mike Kamakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och will be joining us via Zoom. Our resident DJ Moshfire is also out, but he will also be joining us via Zoom. And not forgetting that our super producer Mubelo Bandio, he's working behind the scenes, but he's not in today. And just to get started, I can already see we have a number of listeners already tuned in. I can see Washeke is already in the building. I can see Afro Jamaica Kaiser Soze is already in the building. So call all your friends, tell them that the show has started. Make sure you share those links that we've been sharing to get everybody tuned in. And we are going to get started right away because we have a lot to cover today. I can see Luis Muya is already in the building. He says, "Good evening, my fellow criminals." Oh my goodness. And the show has not even started yet. My fellow treasonous criminals. And the show hasn't even started yet. But we're going to go ahead and get started right away before we introduce the guests. And now we know that in a week of pandemonium and chaos that claimed dozens of lives in Kenya, Kenyan President William Ruto was forced to bow to demands of Gen Z protesters to reject the 2024 finance bill. Now, after calling protesters treasonous criminals earlier this week, President Ruto a day later withdrew his support for the finance bill and called for dialogue with Kenyan youth. In a campaign that started online and ended in a dramatic occupation of parliament, Ruto's presidency has for the first time been shaken to its core by Gen Z Kenyans. Now, this protest that started in Nairobi spread across the country and made their way to various Kenyan embassies across the world and different cities across the world where Kenyans live. Now, in studio tonight to discuss this are three organizers of the parallel protests that happened at the Kenyan Embassy in DC this past Sunday. And I will be asking them to tell us a bit about themselves. I can see Afro Jamaican here is saying, remember the YouTube It already has 11 people on board. So yes, so we're also going to be checking the comments on YouTube, and we will be reading them. We're going to be paying attention to that. Welcome to all the people who are tuned in on YouTube. So to get us started, I'm going to go to our first DC protest organizer, Val Githae. Now, Val, welcome to the One Mic Show. And in 1 minute, please tell us a bit about yourself. What was your role in the DC protest, and what inspired you to be part of the organizing team? Val, karibu sana.
Asante sana. Hi to my fellow terrorists and
criminals.
Yes,
so, treasonous.
Yes. So my name is Val Githae. I'm a student at the American University in DC. I am a zillennial, or male Z, so I'm in between 1995, 96 and 97. I like to think of ourselves as that category because we are like the in-between of tech and analog. So yeah, and what made me get inspired? So when this whole thing started, I was seeing social media posts, I was posting, and I'm like, how comes the diaspora is quiet? Why is nobody really talking about this? And the only person I saw was, I don't have that many followers on Instagram. The one person I saw who was posting as much as me was Robert. And I'm like, okay, I guess the two of us, we know what's going on, or we are really feeling so passionate about what's going on and we're not happy. So I give Robert a call, and I'm like, no, that before I give Robert a call, and I'm like, what do you think about this situation? He tells me, and I decide to go deeper and find out if there is people in the diaspora, mostly in DC, who are willing to do something about it. I draft messages. I'm told to reach out to someone. This person tells me they're on vacation and to wait for them to come on Tuesday. And I'm like, no, that's insane. So I open a WhatsApp group, and the rest is history. We're here now.
Okay. All right. And then Member of Parliament Kikuyu, Kimani Ichung'wah, responded to something that you said to Citizen TV. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we all know that the finance bill had increased the remittances here from 15% actually to 20%. Last year was 15, this year is 20%. So when I talked about it, Kimani Ichung'wah said that I was lying about it, calling it misinformation. But when you check Article 46B2 of the finance bill, it clearly mentions that. So money transfers, money mobile transfers. So after I said that, clearly I responded. He called me Purity something. So I made my name very clear. I mentioned the articles, and the next thing I know, after a moment of them gaslighting us, they had already dropped that section of the finance bill.
Okay, and actually that section, I also saw a post on where they had dropped it, and I think he was talking about it being dropped.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Karibu sana again, Val Githae. Now we're going to go to Robert Bett. In similar fashion, Robert, in a brief minute, tell us a bit about yourself. What was your role in the DC protest, and what inspired you to be part of the organizing team? Roba, twende kazi.
Yes, Asante Ali. First and foremost, my condolences goes out to the family who have lost their loved ones in this past week of violence. And let it be known that they did not sacrifice themselves. They did not volunteer to die. They were killed by a tyrant, and Ruto must go. That has to be said every time I speak. So that being said, my name is Robert Bett. I'm a software engineer here at the DMV. And just last week, I was just minding my business when I noticed everything that's going on back home, and I had to speak out, and I had to at least post about it. That was the bare minimum that I could do. So that wasn't even a thought that I had. I didn't hesitate. I made sure I posted as much as possible. Any piece of information I saw, I made sure I posted so that anyone can see and people can educate themselves as well. And luckily, Val saw that, and we just, like she said, we just opened a WhatsApp group, and hundreds of people joined, and it turned into a protest where we met with, before even the protest, we met Ali, who's really good at organizing protests, and we had the protest on Sunday, and that made us a difference, a small difference, but at least it showed the people back home that we stand in solidarity with them. But honestly, if Ruto knew how to run the country, I won't be here right now. I'm not a public speaker. I've never been in a podcast. I would rather he would do a good job so we don't have to be here, but here we are.
There's
And
always a first time, brother.
there was exactly, yeah. But here we are, so tutaendelea tu.
Okay.
Bado mapambano.
And have you gotten calls
Yeah,
from relatives? Yeah, Mika.
Ambiwe kijana hisi podcast.
Okay, aya, sawa. Hiyo Mika ngoja tulia, tutamweleza. But karibu, did you get any calls or any messages from relatives who maybe might have seen you on TV or seen your picture somewhere?
I did both positive and negative. Of course, I'm Kalenjin by my name. You can tell that. I have had to argue.
Really?
Yes. Can I say it again?
Yes. Really?
Yeah. So yeah, of course, I have to argue with some uncles and aunties who are still on Ruto's side. So I have had to educate people and engage in conversations that I think have been productive and will ultimately lead to a good thing, because the more they know, hopefully the more they figure out that this route that the country is going is not good for anyone.
Okay, asante sana. Robert, now I'll now go to Kelvin Kibet, and Kelvin, in similar fashion, in a brief minute, tell us a bit about yourself. What was your role in the DC protest and what inspired you to be part of the organizing team? Kevo, twende kazi.
Thank you very much, Ali. And so my name is Kelvin. I'm a software engineer as well. And Robert hit me up and he was like, with everything going on at home, we are thinking of opening up a WhatsApp group and getting a permit for demonstrations. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board, because with everything going on, seeing our fellow brothers and sisters back at home, they have to battle the police, they have to battle with tear gas. And I was like, okay, so what's next? So we got the permit, Val went for it, and everything followed up, and then the demonstrations happened. Actually, on the 26th, that was my birthday, but I didn't even get to celebrate it because we are battling bigger issues back at home.
Okay.
So, and that aside, I'm passionate in human rights, social reforms, and leadership and governance.
Okay, and did you get any communication from people back home who saw your revolutionary hat on TV and saw your face was all over there? Were you experiencing any issue like, because we have Robert Bett here and we have Kelvin Kibet, which is very interesting because you come from the president's community where he has the most support, and you guys were at the forefront, which is something that, for a minute I was worried for you guys, but you guys were right at the forefront. So has there been any issues you got with relatives, friends, or anything of that sort?
Well, so far I've just received, we've seen you on Citizen, or don't come out so much to be like, you don't be seen as like Kuampole. Like, no, we are a democratic nation. The Constitution covers for the freedom of speech. And I believe our Constitution is matured enough to ensure that every person's right is respected. And so we will be vocal about it. We cannot keep quiet while children are being murdered, people are being shot with live bullets. And no one is even becoming accountable. The president said 6 people died, and we have seen a lot of people dying on the streets. So that's one. The least we can do is show up and march for the people. Because if you saw the people running, getting into parliament, people are just, those people who are seeing bullets being shot in front of them, they are not cowards. It's just that they look at the situation that the government has put them in economically, and they are like, well, afadhali wanasema maisha bora si bora maisha.
Maisha bora si bora maisha.
Yeah, so you march for a better life. You don't just live. You don't need to survive. Thank you.
Okay, so Sana, very, very powerful introductions. And before I get to our other co-hosts, Unomaike in studio, and I have both Mika and Omosh Fire on Zoom. I want to read a few comments here that are coming in on YouTube. YouTube hatujawasahau. So Afro Jamaican, we are here with you on YouTube. I can see there's someone who's called JNN, Jaba News Network. Anasema hii cho inaanza saa gapi? No, ni icho inaanza saa pinga. My goodness. Kuna shraba hapo na kuna sheng. Yote imechanganywa katikati. Karibu sana JNN Jaba News
Karibu
Network.
kwa cho.
Yeah, this is the right place to be. Karibu sana kwa cho. Jacob Korir anasema, is it still on for today? Yes, the show is live. It's happening right now. Please comment and tell us know what you think. And then there is a 254 My City, My Town. Anasema watching from the DMV, karibu sana. Then we have Gloria McCarthy, who I believe is watching all the way from either New Jersey or New York, looking forward to the show. Karibu sana. We also have Stephen Okoth. Stephen Okoth says looking forward to hearing the different views. And I want to welcome also all the other listeners who are tuned in on Facebook. And very soon we're going to start, doing TikTok live. Our social media manager told us that we now qualify. I think this with these happenings, our TikTok account is fairly new, but we put a couple of videos there. They went viral, and we are already qualified to do lives on TikTok. And I'm meant to understand that on TikTok you can even hold a live video for 24 hours. And I'm like, that is too much. I don't think we're gonna be out here for 24 hours. So yeah, so we're waiting to hear from people who are tuned in on Facebook. I can see what Shekendirangu is telling Luis Moya, good evening, fellow Jambas. I don't know whether that's Jamba or Jambazi or your spelling. Washeke fafanua. And then Eric Mukumbu is in Seattle, and we are live, is tuned in. Karibu sana, Eric. Yes, and we have so much that will be happening today. I'm going to be talking about my role, because I was also part of the organizing committee for this DC protest. But I'm going to go to Mika Och first. Mika, who was part and parcel of the protest. He was there in DC. Alionekana pale Citizen TV na hizo madredi zake na hizo nini zake, masleki walimuona pale, walikuwa na comment mbili tatu wanauliza vipi huyu jamaa kona kamtu haba ni nini. Mika, karibu sana ndani ya One Mic Show. Tell us what's going on.
Hey Ali, hey. Good evening, and I want to thank Val, Robert, and Kevin. As in, actually, you guys, when I walked up to the embassy, the one thing that I expected was just the normal 10 people when we usually do a demonstration. Usually 10. For me, I was actually debating on going to Cape Fear. Not debating, I was planning on going to Cape Fear. I was actually telling how Omosh to pick me up on the way. Then Ali told us that there's a demonstration. And then I was like, nah, if Ali is doing a demonstration, he's not going to be there by himself. So I told Omosh we're under Cape Fear, and the DC could demonstrate. And the demonstration are actually quite, as in, they're quite for themselves. And for me, when I reached DC, a big smile just hit my face. I was proud. I saw a lot of people, and I can tell you the older people were like me, Ali, Mainakiai, Steve. I think we were less than 10 at first. At first we were less than 10. Everybody else were new people, new blood, new faces, and it was just exciting. I was like, yeah, this is. I felt a very huge pride out of it. Now, from a statement on Citizen, I got a mixed bag of reactions. I got a mixed bag of people who say thank you for speaking up, thank you for saying what you're saying. I think that's good. And then I got people who told me, nyinyi mmetuzoea. Nyinyi mmetuzoea. Hiyo show yenu yani hamtaki kwa tu siku moja mnataka kufanya sasa. Mnataka tu kuaibisha. Mwingine ataniambia niache kuaibishana. So, and obviously for me it was like, kama mnataka niache kuaibisha mzee, nyinyi acheni kumwaibisha. Mwambie ache kujaibisha. Like, you can't run a country like a kiosk on how you want. You cannot just be oppressing people how you want. And there's something that Kevin said. Was it Robert or Kevin who said that when those people were running into bullets, they were tired? Because if you compare this with Reggae Mondays, right? You remember Reggae Mondays used to start with a lot of hula baloo, but then by the time wanafika pali wanarushia na tear gas na mawe, it will last like 30 minutes and it's over. People have gone, they've moved to another area, they're moving around, right? Because those were paid people. Majority of those were paid goons, or people who have been paid. This one was actually people who were coming to protest out of their own free will, out of their own tiredness. That is why people were murdered. That is why we had snipers. I've never heard of snipers in a protest anywhere. Never. A sniper shot somebody with a 50 cal. the head yote ikaenda. Like on TV, I saw a police officer aim and shoot 3 people, and they fell down and died live on Citizen TV. So, and still people were storming in and going in. And then these people actually saw an MP who was disabled and helped him out of parliament. It shows you that they didn't have any bad, they were not coming there with bad intention. They were coming there with a message. They wanted to push a message and they wanted to put it up. And for me, I believe that as the older generations who most of our actions or inactions have brought the country to where it is, we really need to stand up for this. We really need to stand up with these kids in what they're fighting for. That's really.
All right, thank you so much, Mika, and I believe also Omosh Fire, very powerful coming from Mika. I believe also Omosh Fire is also tuned in. Poleni sana hapo on that those sounds coming in. But Omosh Fire, talk to us. You did not have a chance to come to the protest, but you were following this keenly from wherever you are. You were among the people who went out to Cape Fear. DJ Omosh Fire, talk to us.
Sema mwanisikia.
Yes, loud and clear. Twende kazi.
Excellent. So hey Maze, I feel butterflies, and you know, Ali, when we got the message on, I think it was ilikuwa Friday, I think Friday asubuhi, but then we had planned to attend the Cape Fear, so I guess we basically split personnel where when Amika Molikana mina Uno tulienda Cape Fear. So we represented on both ends of the pendulum, both Kenyan events, and needed our presence. But more so, what I saw with the generations, with the people coming out, the kids who are born here, who have no clue, they've always known of Kenya, where you go to see Gukan Shosho, and they're wearing their Kenyan paraphernalia, and they're there chanting, and they're being part of this process. So should I say that, being there and getting to know what's happening from civic, your civic duty, other than voting, that to me was so powerful and is so powerful. And I can't wait to see the type of leaders that this generation is going to have when they're sitting in parliament or making laws or policies for the rest of us. And I see a time when this country of ours, Kenya, is not going to have corruption, and it will have processes and policies and laws that are followed and that work. So for me, that's the goal. If we can get that, then we have done our duty, we have done our job. And so whatever it takes for me to be part of the process, niko hapa. Back to you, studio.
All right, asante sana DJ Omosh Fire. I can see a couple of comments that are coming in here on YouTube. I can see Jacob Koreri saying, watching live and clear. We in this for the long haul. And then I have Irene Dunda who says Ira. It's not Irene.
No.
Okay.
Vitu zako, bro.
Okay, all right, sawa. Ira Dunda is watching.
It's Ira.
Okay,
it's better than Irene.
Okay, all right. So I get it, guys. Okay, all right. And saying we on and watching from Norway, impressed by the Gen Z. Big up Omosh, viva. I think this is our first viewer from Norway. So Ira, karibu sana. Then we have Pan-African.nation who says Ruto must go. It's very simple for him. Ruto must go. Hakuna story mob. Then I can also see Sambaza podcast is tuned in. He says we have arrived. Stephen JJ all the way from Texas anasema chonjo. Aya sawa. So we're gonna continue. I was also part of the organizing team of this protest, and it was quite a pleasure working with the three individuals that we have in studio today. There's a whole other team. I hope they're gonna call in. Remember, the number to call in is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We have pinned that number on the Facebook comment section, so feel free to call in to make a contribution. And as I was saying, it was quite a great pleasure working with this team. Val, before we talk about last Sunday's protest, we have another one slated this coming Sunday, so there's no taking breaks. Please briefly talk about this upcoming one, Val.
So hatuwezi take breaks when we are seeing people at home doing the actual work on the ground.
Yes.
us, we have it easy here. We don't get tear gas. We don't have live bullets. In fact, tuko na secret service there, protection. So all I can tell people, if you want to make an impact, just come, because we have to understand that there is different ways to make an impact, right? Kuna iyo symbolism na kuna consequential. Consequential ni kaa tumefika na tunaifanya, and the world knows, and Kenya, our brothers and sisters at home, know for sure that we are standing with them. That's all that matters, because I think mimi kama singekuwa hapa, I honestly think, and I know for sure, I would have been in those protests. Because before I left, coming from Kenya to here, life was already really, really, really difficult for me.
Okay.
You know, so I empathize and I sympathize with those people there. Also, my friends, my family, kila mtu. I know also about, ingekuwa any one of us, if tungekuwa kwa ground, any one of us could have gotten killed.
Absolutely.
You know, so please, I ask people in the DMV, show up. You might think showing up is not that impactful, but trust me, it's impactful, because then we are telling the president and we're telling the world that we are watching and we are on guard.
Okay. Aya, sawa sawa. So let me come to Roba now regarding the protest. So first of all, before I come to Roba, this Sunday, where's the protest going to be? What time will it be?
Same place, same time at the Kenyan Embassy in DC from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes, and show up on time, because we get started right away. All right. Roba, you know, like going back to this past Sunday, have you organized a protest before, or was this one of your first ones?
It wasn't even one of my first ones. It was my first one, period. I think, vile nisema tu, vile ili happen, Val just reached out. WhatsApp group, I think, is what put everyone together, or what brought everyone together, including you, Ali. And I know Kevo as a friend. He's very educated on the current situation of the government, and he's very educated on that side. So I know we would use him. He would be a good teammate for us to, you know, be informed on what's going on back home, and also make sure we know what we're talking about sometimes. So I mean, it was the first protest we ever organized, and it went so well that we're getting people from I got someone from Boston and I think Atlanta reaching out that they're planning theirs this weekend, one on Saturday, I think, or both on Saturday. So they need some pointers on what to do for their own protest, and we are happy to help. We did it in a simple way, but I think it's an effective way that works. Like Micah was saying, all the people that showed up was really amazing to see, and it got the word out there, and that's the whole point.
Okay. And you talked about Atlanta. We are going to be going to other cities that are hosting protests and where they're going to be. Yeah. So let me go to Kevo. Ucha protest before, you had those that the Revolutionary Heart. Ulikuwa unakaa kama Julius Malema pale. Ulikuwa unakaa ni kama uko na experience kwa hii game. Was this your first protest, or have you done this before?
Maze mimi hii game sijawahi kuwa. Actually, I was just vocal on Twitter and Instagram, posting. So when Roba hii me up, nikamwambia ai maze, mimi sidhani kama nitatokea, lakini tuko pamoja. But then after a while I was like, actually, I mean, this is just here, why would I miss out? I mean, this is like my civic duty as well, to protest when your country is in turmoil, because clearly this government is literally, I mean, breaking every law, embezzling every fund there that has been raised for the people, borrowing and not managing any cent that is given unto them. So mi pia nikasema mi natokea, and so we came up with the idea of the berets, and we showed up, and luckily some of our grievances were heard and they were addressed.
Okay.
Like diaspora remittances, as Val has already addressed.
Okay. Yeah. Now, big thing, you know, like that's a big thing that I think a lot of naysayers, because we had a lot of naysayers before, that was a very big deal, in that, you know, like issues were being addressed live, and even now we got to the point where the president said that in quotes he has withdrawn the bill, whatever exactly that means, withdrawing the bill. People are still following up, because now people don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. So very interesting. You know, before we come to Uno Mike here in the studio, bado hajazungumza, I can see a lot of comments coming in here from YouTube. Leo watu wa Facebook mnaachwa nyuma. YouTube is out and about, wameenda, you know, they're not waiting for Facebook guys to say anything. So I have Abella Heru saying no break, thank you so much. I think that was in response to what Val said earlier. And then we have brother Umar J says tuning in from Thotlanta. Big up one Mike, Ali and Mika. Good to see everyone actively taking part in exercising our rights and responsibilities as Kenyans. And then 254 My City My Town says Ruto must go. We don't need stories at Jabba from a president. Pan-African.nation says watching from war zone in a state, Nairobi, Kenya. That's and that's very interesting. You know, like I never thought that war zone and Nairobi would ever be read in the same sentence, but Nairobi became a war zone because KDF was deployed, and we're going to be talking about that again. Before we come back to Uno, I see what wa Facebook wamerespond, wamesema na wao wachwi nyuma. Sabina Mora says we'll be there on Sunday. Ruto must go. I have some Baza podcast all the way from Dallas, Texas, is saying Dallas is having one on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Dallas City Hall Plaza by an independent group that I am in called Voices of Diaspora. And then on Sunday, Diaspora Advisory Council at Carlton Police Station from 4 to 6 p.m. So it seems like there's two different ones in Dallas. But Sambaza podcast, please clarify that. It seems like there's two different ones happening in Dallas. And Dallas, I think, already did one. They did one on the same day as we did.
So there'll be two, one on Saturday, one on Sunday.
Oh, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thanks for that clarification. And then I can see here, Stephen JJ says, wacha raia waongee muhimu sana. Brenda Big K all the way from Houston. Brenda anasema Houston has won as well on Saturday 6 p.m. at Westheimer and Post Oak. So Houston pia waachwi nyuma. Washake Ndirangu is saying we are reminding Kenyans we are reminding Kenyans that our civic duties includes keeping the government accountability. Protests is part of it. Namora Muroki is also already tuned in. So let me come back to studio and go to Uno Mike. Uno Mike is part of the group of the One Mike show because we split, you know, because One Mike, you know, we like, you know, like making sure, you know, like we talk about things happening in the community. We like being part of these activities.
Yes.
So we split. So Uno Mike and Omosh went to Cape Fear. Mika and myself remained back for the protests. So what was the view from Cape Fear? I know Cape Fear was a happy place, but what was the view when you guys were hearing what's happening in Kenya and the protests in DC? What were people saying out there in North Carolina?
So once again, you know, I think I'll echo my comrade over here, you know, for the people who lost their lives, Poleni Sana, may they rest in peace. So first and foremost, the event that was put up by Benny and Sunny was good. But I think also we had a heavy heart because, you know, it's when we realized when we were driving down, when we were heading down, is when now we got the information that you guys are going to have a protest, and we're like, really? When we are leaving is when you're telling us.
You guys were the early birds.
Yes, we're the early birds.
You guys were the
we were
early
leaving
birds.
at 3 a.m.
on Thursday.
Yeah, we left at 3 a.m. on Friday 3 a.m.
Friday 3 a.m.
Yeah. So we are like, really, you're going to tell us this? But we're like, you know what? You guys manage, we'll handle. But also over there, in as much as people were playing rugby, you know, there was also conversations that are going on. They're like, you know, Gen Z umefanya hii, this is what is going on. People are sharing, people are sitting down, people are discussing the finance bill, people are discussing, you know, what was wrong, you know, how it was being managed, you know, like, and also like saying Gen Z, what Gen Z have done something that we and our parents,
yes,
or who and for some of them, the Z, their parents are us.
Yeah,
they've done something that we could not be able to do. I wouldn't say that it's not something that we could not be able to do, but we needed that lift and the boost, because the people who have been able to do something, but you're in a minority.
Yes,
but now the tribeless, the leaderless, partyless, fearless, wakakam, wakasema, you know what,
marriageless.
Well, yeah, that one too.
They fear marriage. They fear marriage.
They fear marriage.
They fear, yeah.
Wakasema, for those who don't drink, hold my beer.
Yes.
And then they manage my challenges. So that conversation was still going on, even when we were there. And you know, I know I'm not alone. Even in the studio, I have a culprit that we were with, but I won't call out his name. But yes, it was also going on. So we were really monitoring, because now all of a sudden you're just watching at activity, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Okay, what's going on? What's this? What's, you know? And we're like, what? Okay, these guys are really doing something. And I remember a while back, you know, we always used to say that civic education is going to be one of those things that are going to be very core with the Kenyan citizen, because once you know what your rights are, once you understand or you read the constitution, now ubebwi malenge watu watafunguka. And it's interesting because now the guys, the MPs are complaining that these guys are educated, they've got iPhones or whatever, but they have been educated by the same people. Yeah, they're the same guys who are understanding the finance bill. They are understanding the process.
Kibaki's free education.
They're understanding that finance bill are just amendments, and you can't be doing this, that, the other, whatever. They're breaking it down. And we're also seeing the channel on Instagram that was doing it in various languages.
Yes, absolutely, that was amazing.
So in as much as we were there, we were having fun, we were still following. We were, in fact, like, I think on the way back now is when now we are seeing footage rolling in of what you guys were doing. I saw Mika over there, Kelvin,
Kelvin,
Roba and Val. And I'm like, you know what? Allah! And then voila, we meet the heroes.
Yes. Okay, I saw.
And heroines.
Yeah, but the real heroes are the ones who are back home.
Those are the guys
standing in the front lines.
Yes.
Like, I also want to remind people, if you're here, like, you're not at risk of your head being blown away by a bullet or being tear gassed. So it's very, very important that you come out on Sunday. And in all other cities where the protest is going to be going on. I want to remind the listeners that you are tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. In studio tonight, we have the organizers of the DMV Reject Our Finance Bill 2024 protests. We have Val, we have Roba, and we have Kelvin. Our second protest is scheduled for this coming Sunday, the 30th of June, at the Kenyan Embassy in DC. We also have multiple protests that have happened in places like Dallas, LA, New York, and many more cities are coming up. So stay tuned to find out when and where. And if you know your city is going to be protesting, feel free to type up in the comment section. Tell us when it's going to be, what city and where, so that people who are tuned in can know. And then we'll shortly be asking where diaspora involvement on Kenyan issues helps or hurts. So stay tuned for that. Our lines are open. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. I'm surprised we've not received a call yet, because we want to hear from people out of town, even people from the DMV want to hear about your experience. So feel free to call in. But before we continue, Val, please remind us of the plan this coming Sunday. Val.
So this coming Sunday, mkuje kaa mmevaa poa. By that I mean just wear Kenyan colors, usivae vitu ziko na joto, because I think kutakuwa na joto. Come with a lot of energy, bring that anger, bring that vision that you want with you. Come na maji, but we're gonna have water. Just, I would recommend come with a friend. Hata kasim Kenya, we've seen today Haitians out there protesting on our behalf in New York. So I've seen, I think it's in Washington, the South Sudanese movement also doing their protests on our behalf.
Nice.
So we have a lot of support. So we come, and when we lose our fear, we lose our power. And Roba said and Kevin said they've been getting calls, good and bad, and I also got calls. And even before these protests, I remember I used to do videos on Facebook, and everyone used to tell me, wacha utakufa. No, I'm still alive. And the people back home have nothing to lose. And that's why, the most dangerous person is the one who has nothing to lose.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we think, we want to also think in that term, especially for us Gen Zs and millennials, because let's say something was to happen to us here in America, where would we run to?
Back home.
Home.
Yeah.
Tuko na homes ngapi? Hatuna homes mingi. So the least you can do is just show up, and let's make our voices heard. And most importantly, let's let the people back home know that they are not by themselves. that we are here. Because what has been happening over the years here in the diaspora, nika tumekuwa detached. You know, it's like we've become too comfortable with the life here that we dissociate from back home. And I think that's a mistake that now we've seen that we can rectify and we can move forward. And the first step, again, is showing up this Sunday at the Kenyan Embassy at 1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, so if you had any plans on Sunday, and we've given people enough time. I hope you're the guys who go. For those who are going to church, you know, make sure you go in on the early service so that you have enough time to come out to the DC protest. You know, and Ruth, karibu sana. Ruth is telling us to check in on the YouTube comments. We've been checking on those YouTube comments.
We are mengia too. Amedandia scooter kwa kona.
Yeah, we are mengia too. She's revealing that she came into the party late, but that's okay. Ruth, tell us, you know, like what you're thinking. I know you have family and friends in Boston. Tell us, you know, like what the plans are in Boston, and please tap up and let us know if there are protests happening in your city so that people can know, so we can tell other people. Now, maybe let me come to you, Roba. Are you getting any information, you know, like or details from other cities that have done the protests? What are you hearing from them? Who have you heard from, and what are they saying, Roba?
I think we had talked to LA about their protests, and theirs also went well. And you know, we shared notes on you know what they did versus what we did and what we could do better. And I think that's all we can do, right? I think other than that, Dallas, I had a few things, but nothing too detailed. But like I said, there's one for Atlanta and I'm forgetting the other one. Atlanta and Jersey, I think.
Yes.
Atlanta and New Jersey this Saturday, and then Boston, I think we said, and Dallas has 2 this weekend as well.
Houston too. Brenda BK just commented here.
And Houston, yeah. So, yeah, you all of you are free to reach out to any of us. We are just going to share notes. We are all Kenyans. We're just trying to get the word out of you know, out of here to bring attention to what's happening back home. And it's better than, like I said, it's the least we can do. People are, I don't know if any one of you, I'm sure all of you saw the video of the people approaching Parliament, and every shot that rang, they laid on the ground and then kept moving. They were approaching the gunshots.
Yeah,
that was one of the most powerful videos I've ever seen in my life. Because wananchi they're walking towards the gunshots. Every gunshot wanalala, wanangojea, wanaamka, wanaendelea. They are doing that for us. They're doing that for our country.
Man.
And the least we can do is post and show up to a protest if there's one next to you. If there's one next to you, hata 1 or 2 hours endesha. Kuna watu walitoka New Jersey na West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Yeah, the least you can do is just show up to a protest or just post about it. If there's no protest near you, just post about it. Bring attention to it. Because watu wameshutiwa huko nyumbani, watu wameface gunshots, watu wameface snipers for the freedom of our country. So please don't sit silent, especially when wamekuwa huko Diani na 1824 na wanaenda kuchapa sherehe every December nyumbani, na wanapost bracelet, wanapost mandovu huko Masai Mara, wanasema, oh, I'm so proud of my country, I love my country Kenya, and then say wananyamaza. You guys, you need to be at the forefront of this with us. We shouldn't be alone. We're not alone currently, but there's many more people outside there who can join us. So please, yeah.
Okay, you know, when you talked about that image of you know, like people approaching Parliament, gunshots coming, they were laying down and still approaching, they were not running away. It reminded me of that song, Eric Wainaina. I can't remember the name of the song, but when he talks about hawakushtushwa na risasi ama kupelekwa magerezani. Daima. Yeah. So I mean, that was such a powerful image, and I never thought, you know, like people would be that brave. Like you can see your killer, you like you're in view with your killer. You're face to face, but you're unarmed and you're still approaching. Val, you had something that you wanted to add.
I was gonna add. You can bring flowers and maybe a candle. That way we can do a vigil for the heroes, those who have lost their lives. Rambi zetu kwao tena. And Spokane also had a protest.
Spokane, Washington. Okay, they had it earlier during the week?
Yes, I don't remember when, but during the week.
Okay, so if you're tuned in from Washington State, please tap up and tell us, you know, like what the details were there. So, kwako Kevo, you know, like just in response to what Roba was saying here, what was running your mind when you're seeing people, you know, like approach Parliament, and they're snipers, you know, not only on the ground, but even on the top of buildings, but these guys were still moving.
Actually, that was a very touchy scene, because if you think about it, like si ati hawa si hawana familia nyumbani. There are people who have kids, they have mothers. Mwingine like ako hapo mbele like anaangalia kifo, but he's like, he and she is like, we are marching forward, we have to take back our parliament. And the reason, and we actually need to understand why these people were doing this. And I will go to chapter 6, article 73, on the responsibilities of every public, those MPs and CSS. And the first one, it says, whatever you do should be consistent to the purposes of the Constitution. Number 2 is that you should demonstrate respect to the people. And number 3, that is clause 1. And number 2 is you should promote public confidence in the integrity of the people. Now, when you look at that, we've had cases whereby MPs are like, people are being paid 2 million to vote for the finance bill. Now you look at that, which integrity is that? We look at the members of parliament who are in there. When I grew up, parliament was a very respectable. Was a respectable place. Yes. Like it was like the oracles lived there, or rather it was like a god was in there. But now you look at the members of parliament that are in there today, and we will go, I will mention just a few. A member, and this actually shows the incompetence of the people that we voted in. And one reason seen that will really open your eyes on how we've sunk leadership. There's leadership and there's politics, but we've made everything political. When you see Kimani, the Molo MP, was chairing the committee on the finance.
Kuria Kimani.
Yeah. Kuria Kimani a few weeks ago was in Molo, and he was supposed to talk about illegal liquor in his constituency. And this guy showed up drunk that he could not even walk. So a member of parliament coming not to talk about any other thing but liquor in the constituency and the defects, and then he shows up drunk.
He had only one job.
One job.
Not to show up drunk.
And that is a member of parliament who is in there representing a very, very critical body, and like this is a guy who we expect him to plan on how we're gonna reach our tax targets in the coming year and things like that. So that is how low we've sunk.
Wow.
We look at our speaker, Mr. Wetangula. A few years ago, he was on the headlines because of some scamming going on with some Dubai prince or something.
Yes.
That is the guy who heads all the MPs that have been voted by the people. Mind you, these are representatives of the people. These people represent over 50 million Kenyans. And then they are being headed by someone whose integrity is at stake or is questionable. Now, when did the rain start beating us? The rain started beating us when we started compromising some clauses and articles in the Constitution. Because in the Integrity Act, for example, if you've been caught or you have a graft case going on, you cannot run. You cannot be cleared to run by the IBC. We look at the Eurobond, the current treasury CS Ndung. It was the governor when the Eurobond was stolen. But now we have recycled the same people now, and then they put them back in the government. They steal, the graft charges go away, you put them back in the government. Now, how are we supposed to move forward? So those people marching forward, they know like the choices that are being made in the August House are no longer honorable. So that is why they march forward. They want proper policies to be enacted. They want democratic votes, and we also go back to this party politics, because now we realize that party politics have been like a business in Kenya.
Yes.
Whereby, and I'll mention one constituency, Ndiwa constituency in the previous elections.
What counties are in?
It's in, is it Homa Bay? I think.
Ndiwa, okay.
Ndiwa.
It's in one of the Nyanza counties, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a guy was given a wild card. So there was no nominations for him just because of his affiliations to Baba. I mean, and I'm not talking about Baba only, but in all other parts.
It's become common.
It's become common.
Yeah.
So then the people
better leave Baba alone, Bwana.
Where tuliza mbegu. Where kwanza you're not here.
So you realize that like the political parties are being auctioned. So people, if there was another better option for someone else to contend for the same seat and deliver to the people, but then the parties auctioned some seats, maybe by whatever reason that may be exhibited. I don't know why, but they auction the people through certain individuals. And another thing is the kingpin politics, whereby wanakuja wanasema hapa tutapiga suti kutoka juu mpaka chini. Kama wewe uko kwa hii chama unaenda nje. Six piece. Yeah. And now mind you, they've been alleged that some of these nominations are rigged. So even if you run and you have the interest of the people at heart, then you don't know. Sometimes you don't go to, not because the people didn't vote for you, but because the party politics were played and someone else was chosen over you. So to get over all these things, we need to enforce Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And these politics of kingpin, kwanza sisi watu wameamua mambo ya ukabila hatutaki. Going forward, we umetoka wapi, sijui ni wapi, we just need people who deliver on the mandate of the people. We don't care where you are from, we don't care. Hata kuna watu walisema hata kama ni gunia ya viazi itakaa state house. As long as it delivers, that is fine. If it's an alien coming down from Mercury or Pluto or wherever, let him come down and deliver. That is what people want. People want leadership. Too much politics has been played on in our country, and that is what we are done with. We want delivery of services and the mandate of the people. It's a democratic nation for the people and by the people. So people want to be represented and they want promises delivered.
Wow. Gunia viazi ita deliver French fries.
Wow. Huyu Kelvin asirudi Kenya, lakini sikusema hivyo.
No.
You're very right.
Mbona zirudi Kenya?
Boss, wewe Mika bana nacheza bana, wewe what a story bwana.
Well,
but Kelvin is so right about party politics and the way it's played in Kenya. It's very nasty and retrogressive. Back to you, studio.
Okay.
But then hold up, Omosh, only one minute. Before Omosha said party politics.
Yeah.
Omosha said party politics, and also Kevin has said party politics. But if we go to party politics, Kenya Kwanza doesn't have the most number of MPs in the parliament. If we just go by the election results. Remember, they became, immediately they won. We saw some MPs say, we are going to work with the government. We're going to work with the government. We're going to work with the government. They never did defect. They were bought. So they, in quotes, are supposed to be part of the Azimio side, but they just shifted alliance, especially a lot of Jubilee and these small parties, MPs. So that is one thing that, and I see, which gives out a lot of anger to this generation, is because you were elected to represent us, but it's like your allegiance is not into representing us; it's more about what the president wants. It's like you guys serve the president instead of serving us. And then those statements they were making, that I know you guys elected me and you don't want the finance bill, but I have to go to buy what my boss wants. That is actually things that cause anger in that country, because you are our boss. And then these MPs and then, social media is a funny thing, because it's nice for you to keep with trendy things. So you will find yourself doing challenges that are famous. And then the stupid thing is that these politicians have been doing those challenges. Right? Politicians wanataka kugodha na kugodha tena juu kugodha ndio iko famous, anagodha kifloss, watu wanaangalia kumbe unagodha mali yetu. Right? Mimi nagodha jini, wewe unagodha umeshika Prince Louis ya 500,000 Kenya shillings. Mimi nimeshika drink ya 3,000. unajifanya like you're hip. So they were giving the people the evidence to actually see that you're just for yourself, but not for us. And then now when the people turn against them, and the people demand for them to work, and the people are actually trying to hold them accountable, and they're telling them, I'm going to take you back. They were like so arrogant, and they were like, hakuna kitu mtafanya, right? And people actually said, Mimi Rasaki Kurudi, I've already made enough money. They think MP, while she was brandishing millions on the table. And people said 27 utaona, akasema nani aliambia 27 atakurudi.
Wow.
So
arrogance.
So So this arrogance, this clearly showed to the people like, these guys are not there for themselves, for the president, and that's what angered the younger generation, and the younger generations came out. And for me, I cannot see how 2 years you've ruled for 2 years, you want to more than double the budget, and you've never done even one single development project, because even the housing levy is going to buy bonds, treasury bonds. It's not used to building houses. Uhuru paid for the houses. Remember, affordable housing was an Uhuru project. He just came in and took with it and ran with it. Guy has never commissioned even one project. None of the MCs has ever commissioned any project. The only thing we see is every weekend we see Sudi and a few Kalenjin MPs going to donate 200 million. Your salary doesn't even reach 2 million a month. Where are you getting 200 million for you to donate in Arambe? So there are so many things that were happening and are happening in that country that it's got to a point where it's enough is enough. Your second budget, you want to double it, and there is no trace of development, not even one. JS teachers have not been hired. The doctors, intern doctors have not been hired. There's no money for them, but there's money to go and give Gachagwa's wife and Ruto. There's money for gifts. There's money for unexplained expenses. You just know you have to use this money, but you not explain who you. There's money to give to Arambes, right? Linda Mama has been taken out. Linda Mama, which is actually helping a lot of women in that country to give birth safely and affordably. Like, there's so many things that have been scaled from the budgets. The schools are burning. The roads that were spoiled during the floods have not been fixed. But no, it was time for this to happen, and I'm glad that it did happen from the younger generation who had no reason to affiliate themselves to anybody. They didn't have to worry about their jobs. They didn't have to worry about anything. It was just about, I'm worrying about my future.
Okay, sawa. Asante sana Mika. Well, I mean, gems dropping in today. Let me go to the comments here. Udi is in the building. Udi karibu sana. Sambaza podcast says that video that Robert is talking about is epic and will stand the test of time. It's like that guy who stood against a tank pale Tiananmen Square in China. Yes, and then Sambaza father says sad circumstances though, but it really... but I really commend these people. And then Stephen JJ says, Mheshimiwa comes from the word Heshima. Why do we even still refer to them as Waheshimiwa? And then Udi says, I disagree that Parliament was ever held honorable. People were just scared. The quality of Parliament has actually really gone down, like over the years. And then Washeke is saying, Kelvin is articulating it so well. Which I totally agree. And then we have up Lucinita Masinde. Glad you made a platform from Watuamaju. Lucinita, we are here every Friday. Make sure you like, follow, and check out all our pages. We're here like the sun. And then Sambaza father says, Mika is right. Those were Pale Kule IYKYK shifted allegiance, and IBC didn't do its work by calling for by-elections till today, but didn't do anything till today. One area where I'm going to call out the members of parliament, and it's because the reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes sisi wa Islam, we tend to keep quiet for each other, but I'll call out the Somali MPs. Not all of them, but there was quite a good number of them who voted for this bill, and I'm calling you out today. They belonged to, most of them belonged to a party called WDM that ran under Azimio. Now, this party was one of the first ones, right after the election results were announced, to be bought by William Ruto. One of the people who is in that party is a person I've admired for a very long time. I was even seeing him as a future president, but I'm now giving him a red card. His name is Farama Ali, member of parliament, Dadaab. You get a red card for this. I mean, this was a faux pas on your side. Farama Ali has always been a maverick. He was first elected in parliament in 1992. He was part of the Gen Zs that took part in the revolution that was happening in 1990, when things were more dangerous, when things were more crazy. Farama Alim, I don't know what you were thinking. I'm sorry about this, but I have to give you a red card on this, unless you come and explain yourself. He came back on Spice FM and double down on his yes vote. And these are
he did?
Yes, he did on Spice FM.
When?
Yes, during the week. You missed that episode.
But the one, because the one that's ambassador was the one he was voting yes. He voted yes.
Yeah, the one he voted yes. That was before Ruto, called all his MPs back and told them to reverse. So that was after the first vote.
But his explanation made no sense.
It made no sense.
None
totally.
whatsoever.
It made no sense totally. So Farama Alim, please come back and explain to us. A lot of us as young Muslims were looking up to you. Like in how you are fighting for us, you are fighting for the rights of Muslims, and in the sense that you came from a minority community. So I don't know what got into your mind. Please, Farama Alim, come out and explain, because this is a momentous occasion. If you're not careful, you will be remembered for the rest of history with this one vote that you made, unless you come out, explain yourself, and apologize, because the president has already reversed course.
And so remember, Siti Muga asked him when pointed out when he was the only guy who was wearing the Arafat.
Yes, he's always been a maverick.
He's a maverick
for Palestine.
But then all of a sudden, he's just madhogodhanioring, like, because I was trying to understand.
So I don't know. And you know what? People are allowed to make mistakes. Just come out and say sorry. I made a mistake. I mean, you've been seeing other MPs wearing T-shirts, like saying, so I made a mistake. So just come out clearly.
Even the wife saying he's sorry.
Yeah, even the wife saying Nakuru East MP.
Yeah.
So Farama Alim, tafadhali, because you're someone that we were looking up to so much, come and just explain to us what exactly is this. Because right now, the accountability is going to be case by case, line by line, bill by bill, motion by motion. The days of hiding under like the style of voting that many people say aye and nay, those are gone. We are now following up everything. This is a new standard that has been created that like I think all these MPs are now fearful that these things are being analyzed on ChatGPT and everything, line by line, and they're being translated into different languages, because there are so many other laws that are coming in. There's a conflict of interest bill. There's the issue about IEBC. IEBC has not been constituted yet. So these are the things why people will still be out in the streets. I know there's some people who are saying, oh, the president has come down, so you guys need to chill out. No, there are so many things on the plate that need to be addressed before people relax. So a couple of other comments that were coming in here while we were still speaking. Stephen Jeja anasema hiyo ushindi ya KK, we know what happened, eti take care of your vote, hiyo ni kura ya raia, the people's vote has to be protected, otherwise tutaiba. Washeke says that was Thika Town MP. I think that was the MP that people were referring to earlier. And then Washeke father says she said she has stolen enough to last a lifetime. Okay, Gen Z will come for you and take back what you stole. And Washeke father says no capitation to school, but there is 1 billion for furniture. And then Stephen JJ says Deputy Speaker at one point, Farama Alim. And then the number to call again is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Lucinita Masinde says, if you could shed light on the next step now that the president didn't sign, what's next? We're going to talk about that shortly. If the 21 days lapse, we're going to talk about, Val is going to be talking about that shortly. And then I can see here on YouTube, I can see Hanigal Njeri says, love, passion, Ali, and well.
Love the passion.
Oh, love the passion. Love the passion, Ali. Oh, okay.
Brother, should we get you glasses? Okay, so says love the passion, Ali, and well done for holding someone you admired accountable.
Yes, this is the time for accountability. Even those people we like, I had to do a very difficult thing during the protests in DC. One of the things that I was doing, I was emceeing, I was on the mic, hyping up the crowd. One of the things I was doing is we were issuing red cards. And unfortunately, I had to issue red cards to members of parliament, that some of them that I know, some of them who lived here in the DMV. We had to issue them with red cards because this is the time for accountability. Charles Gimose, Hamisi member of parliament, Vihiga County. He lived out here in the DMV.
Okay.
You know, like he still has his kids out here in the US, you know, some in the DMV, some in New York. And I apologize to the kids because they're very nice people. But please go tell your dad, this is the moment for accountability. Hakuna, you know, like this thing of, oh, I can hide and do this because I was sponsored by this party or that party, that is gone. You know, like if you feel like you cannot handle the heat, you better get out of the kitchen.
100%.
You better get out of the kitchen, and that's just where we are. I can see here Gloria McCarthy is also tuned in on YouTube. If you can read that Gloria comment on the mic, I can't see.
As Diaspora, this is the time to start registering.
Now,
non-voters for 2027.
Now, that's interesting. That's interesting because as Diaspora, the problem is if you want to register, you cannot register. You have to go to Kenya to register. I don't know whether outside this registration period a diasporan can actually.
But then where are you gonna register early? There's no ABC.
So I know, you know, like when we were registering here, people were being allowed. I think the people who are being allowed to change in Kenya were the people who are already registered to vote. So I think right now there's a big problem with IEBC and everything. So coming back,
before you proceed,
yeah,
there's a comment that I'm going to read, but I think this is going to blow your head might explode.
Okay,
but bear with me. Calm down.
Figuratively.
Yeah, but please calm down.
Okay.
Usifureka usi jam. Come kisi. No offense. Stephen Okot says, Ali, proof of how the quality of parliament has degraded. Karen Nyamo is the vice chairperson. Val is already shaking her head. Vice chairperson of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Affairs. Wonder why Ruto didn't have a clue on what's going on.
Val, I'll let you take it from here. Let me not even say anything.
Kwanza Karen Nyamo, kuna mafala douche parliament.
Okay.
This woman, tell us why, when this whole thing of sanitary pads came out, what did she say? She said she doesn't use sanitary, tumia tampons. What level of ignorance is that? Set to you jifanya.
I'm not a guy, but
I mean they know, but for the women watching, you know, like that's some level of ignorance, like you can't even fathom. And then also me, I'm ashamed of Mlima Kenya, where I'm from. Because back in the day, you could hear names like Mishuki, Matiba, Sait Kona, Machungwa, Nyororo.
Kimani Machungwa and Dindi
Nyororo.
There you go.
Kimani Kuria.
And then Moha Jicho.
Mbovu.
There you go.
There we go.
Those are the people.
Unasema Kiarie.
Yeah, Kiarie, okay.
Naje Kiarie.
Kamodo.
No, JJ.
Kamodo 2.0. JJ 2.0.
So the guy acted Kamodo and he became Kamodo.
Yes.
Imagine.
And he became Kamodo. Yani alafu na ule albino kwanza mpeleka TZ.
Mwaora.
Hey, Mika kuwa mpole.
Wewe mlisema mtamwachia jua.
Kuwa mpole.
Tumpeleke tu TZ. Unajua TZ wanapenda albino sana. Acha tumpeleke wa mwato.
Kwa Kiswahili wanaitwa wazeruzeru. Na sijui kama hiyo term inatumika siku hizi because nawasikia Tanzania pia. Lakini unajua, no offense at all to people who have that who suffer from albinism, but Isaac Mwaura, you also get a red card. That arrogance, that arrogance, the hubris, you also get a red card. I mean, these people have to be held accountable because for a long time they didn't care because they knew that people had given up and no one will follow up, and after 5 years people will forget and go back to the polls and vote some of them back. Some of them knew they're not being voted back in, so they just steal as much as they need and they keep moving. So yes, so this is the moment for accountability. Val,
actually this is also the moment of the judiciary and the president to show us what they can do. For example, why do we have someone like Waigoro who has never been tried from the NYS scandal? Why do we have someone like Babu Owino who tuliona na macho yetu shooting someone nothing happened to him.
Namandago aliba 1 billion.
Namandago.
And he's a senator now.
And he's a senator, Mali.
Na ule mwenye alikuwa, there's a lady during the protest who said the MP from her place was a convict.
Sirisia MP.
That was Waluke. Yeah, one of the MPs that we gave a red card.
Okay, yeah. That's where we start. We start by cleaning these people up. They have to be tried. They have to show us that no one is above the law. The institutions have to game up right now. In your opportunity outside.
Yeah.
But then, let me ask you something.
Yes,
the courts did say that Mheshimiwa MP Engineer David Sudi is an engineer credibly, but the whole world saw during his swearing in, he couldn't even swear in both Kiswahili and Kizungu.
Yeah, so
like he couldn't speak in anything. But then I'm an engineer, and Kevin is an engineer there. Just tell me, Kevin, would you have done any assignments in? Let's look for the easiest subject that even just math. Math. Would you have done any math assignment if you didn't know English? Or didn't understand English? As an engineer, would you be able to do any of your assignments if you didn't understand? You could not communicate in English.
Definitely, that is a big impossibility.
Now
hapo ndio wanasema ngamia itaingia kwa ile tundu la sindano kabla before you tackle a math question.
Wow, Mika. Yeah, so
the thing is, I'm just surprised that when we say we're trying to hold accountable these people, we can hold all of them accountable, but then we have somebody who has a case at the ICC leading the country. Hapo ndo tunafaa kujiangalia. Tujiulize, huyu msali alichoma watu, alipeana bullets, alikuwa na kesi, witnesses walipotea, kesi haikuisha. If witnesses are ever found, kina December wakiwa itokea, then kesi itarudi. This is the person we voted for, na tukasema ni wa Mungu, tulisifu kwanza tukasema Mungu ndo ametupatia huyu. Sometimes I feel like, that's why every time I speak, you hear me saying, it is us, the older generation, by our inactions and actions that put these kids here. We are the ones who are responsible for those kids who are dead right now in that country.
Absolutely.
Wangekuwa ujinga yetu, watoto wangekuwa hapa sahi. Me as somebody who's a parent of a Gen Z, I actually, and this is the thing, like we had this conversation, she spoke passionately about this. And for me, I feel guilty all the time. Like I feel guilty because I'm like, this is all us. This is my generation. These kids, yes, they do their stuff in social media, but guess what? They learned how to make money out of that social media because you didn't give them any other options on making money. And they're getting old and they need to start worrying about themselves. So those who can get jobs learned how to get money out of that through content creation. Then you realize that and you want to take away that source of income from them. They're going to get mad about that. So that social media that you laugh, that content creation that you laugh at them and you say they waste time over there, that is their world. That is what helps them a lot. So what did they use it? They used it to get together, to teach each other, because there were discussions, before they went to the street, there was a lot of discussions on Twitter. They used to open spaces, they used to communicate over there, the translations in different languages. They were like, they broke it down to how they understand it, how it affects them. So they went out with a purpose. And for them to do all that organization without meeting, without seeing each other, right, without being close or holding close those meeting and planning. No, it was all in the open. The government saw this starting from how it started up to where it is right now. So they did that. We were the first people to have social media. What did we do? Tulitukanana tu na kusenganyana na kupost nudes.
Mika, cheza chini. Now, hapa Estamulusa, karibu sana. Estamulusa from North Carolina anasema Gimose does nothing for Vihiga County. He employed his wife and relatives, disregarding nepotism clauses in the Constitution. So this is the age of getting checked instantly, and this is what I think now leaders, current and future leaders, need to be aware of. Udimadenge says there's a problem if we don't have an ambassador in DC. I don't know if the new ambassador has come in. I don't think so. But that's also an ambassador who we might just decide to give him a red card, because during the hearings, there were so many questions that he could not answer. And it's very dangerous to have an ambassador in the US who doesn't have any diplomatic experience. An ambassador who has no diplomatic experience, take them to some small country first. These political appointees, America is a very sensitive space. We've already had the bad experience of an ambassador who did not have diplomatic experience. That was Ambassador Robinson Githae. So we don't want that scenario again. Now, Val, I'm going to come to you. Let me just read the comments here. I have Udi Madhenge was saying, of course, there's a problem. Stephen JJ anasema sunlight arrogance to in a boy. I think this was in reference to Maura. And then Washekeni Rangu says Millicent Omanga dancing while showing off vehicles acquired with our tax money. Dismas killed someone during the elections.
Didmas.
And his office. Kwanza that name. If you have a name like that, you should not even be talking.
Jamaa lakini nakwambia mimi kitu napenda ni alijaribu kwenda Matanga the next day after voting yes.
Yeah, and of
ile teke alitolewa.
Alisalimiwa na Gen Zs. And then Jidraf Nganga is asking Udi Madhenge, any planned protests Kenyan Embassy Washington DC next few days? You know, I'm gonna give this to Val, and you had a comment before. I'm gonna come back to read more comments that were coming in. So answer this question for Gidraf, and then there was something that you also wanted to say.
I was just gonna say I'm not related to Robinson Githae.
I
just want to make that clear. We are not related. I don't know him. Simjui.
Okay, confirmed for Gen Zs, because Gen Zs squeezy once.
Aseme tena. Hatukumsikia.
Simjui. I'm not related to Robinson Githae.
Robinson Githae.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
You know nowadays Gen Zs, they ID people and they ID their families. Yeah. Like those cops that were shooting people. They have been ID'd and their families. And that's a kind of accountability that we are going to be dealing with. And then Washeke anasema alisomea engineering Russia. I think that's referring to Sudi. And then Udi Madhenge anasema these clowns made us stop us from voting Diaspora. I don't know exactly what that means. Refresh that. Yo kizungu imenichanganya hapo kidogo Udi. And then so Gidraf was being told that there is actually a protest in the Kenyan Embassy on Sunday, 1 p.m. in Washington, D.C. So make sure you come there if you're in town. Then Washeke says, Kumera Tadhiraku is responsible for the rot in our country. Someone translate Kumera Tadhiraku. Whatever that means.
Dhuraku.
Dhuraku.
Ants.
Yeah.
Ants. Kumera.
Yeah.
Kaende. Nayo.
Okay.
Tokelezea. Kumera brother.
Yeah. Siafu. Okay. Watu wanajua kwa Kiswahili. And then Udi anasema, I wish I still lived in the DMV, but I'm in ATL, but I have protested online a lot. I think there was one that was being organized at CNN Center in ATL.
Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday. We're going to confirm that information, and Udi, we're going to give it to you. Make sure you go out there.
Me notice.
And then Gidraf says, now, Washeke, how do I get more info to the contact? I have folks in PA interested in attending. Just remind Gidraf, like about the protest on Sunday, what time and what they need to bring.
Yes, it's 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Kenyan Embassy. You can wear any Kenyan colors. Kamka umekula, kamka umekunywa maji, or just stay hydrated. And what else? Bring a rose or a candle, because we're actually planning on doing a vigil for the heroes that we have lost. And come with energy. And I repeat, your anger. Ukilala hiyo siku, Ruto must go. Ukiamka, Ruto must go. Bring that energy with you.
Ruto must go energy. Na kama Udiki anauliza, what is the Sunday demonstration for? Sijui kama Udiki amekuwa wapi, ba mweleze tu kidogo.
So, it's Sunday demonstration. Last week, we were protesting the finance bill. But the game has changed, okay? After the president decided to call everyone treasonous, criminals, extrajudicial killings and abductions, and him telling the deploying the KDF, which is unconstitutional because he had to go through the parliament first. So also, just the massive police brutality, the Githurai massacre. Wajua ametuambia numbers ni sijui ngapi na Rongai, but I'm hearing the numbers are almost 200. Kuna mse alikuwa anasema wase walikuwa na dedi aliona kama mwili 30 zikiekwa kwa lori, and I'm thinking maybe that woman was like who was crying saying she can't find the body of her child. So there's been a lot of cover up. So again, this protest is going to include all those things, and also just, you know, letting our brothers and sisters know we are there. Tuko hapa, tuko pamoja.
Okay, sawa. And then hapa Stephen JJ anasema nataka kusalimia hawa majenzi. Like unajua kusalimia, define kusalimia gani, because kusalimia nowadays has multiple meanings. So Stephen JJ anasema nataka kusalimia hawa majenzi kwa studio. Jamani, fungueni laini. We say a good hi to the studio guests. The number is pinned actually on the Facebook comments. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We want to hear from people coming out. I'm going to come to you, Roba, shortly. I just wanted to check to see kama watu wa YouTube hapa, watu wa Facebook waliamkamka kidogo, because watu wa YouTube leo walitoka teke. And then I can see yes, I think Stephen Okot says wonder why Ruto didn't have a clue on what's going on. Remember Deputy President Gachagua alikuja akamblame NIS
Nuruddin Haji.
Yeah, akasema kama angekuwa amesema mapema hiki kitu ingekuwa imejulikana, which shows you how dysfunctional this government is. Which shows you that people create formations, the politicians create formations to win elections, but there are no formations to govern, which is a very dangerous trend that we are experiencing. And then Stephen Okoth father says, Ali, you're absolutely right. Hawa watu wamekuwa wajeuri, and that's their downfall. This isn't the first government to steal, lakini you don't rub your spoils in the face of the victims and tax them more. So yes, so that's just what has been happening, and unfortunately. So Roba, let me come to you here. You know, there's been so much activity today. Everybody wants to comment. Everybody, you know, sijui kama kuna mtu kwa phone line. Again, the number is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Iko mtu kwa phone line. Before we go to Roba, let's go on the phone line to hear what people have to say. All right. Thank you for calling the One Mic Show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
0951.
Okay. Who is Stephen JJ calling from Dallas, Texas?
Mute on the other side.
I am mute on the other side. Karibu sana Stephen JJ. Ulikuwa unasema unataka kusalimia. Yes, ulikuwa unataka kusalimia Gen Z. Haya, tuma salamu kwa Gen Z. What do you have to say for them? Ni wengine wanajiita zillennials.
Nimewasalimia sana. Na kwanza maze, big up man. This one is a big one. You know, usually man, I get like kind of a little too excited, so you know, I mean, finally I'm through to One Mic Show in mara yangu ya pili kupiga. So but I mean, this one is personal to me. It touches home. I've been part of maandamanos, and yeah, we've never really got even close to this, maze. So niwa say maze, asanteni sana, and the message is clear. Peaceful demonstrations. We need to just keep on fighting for everybody, kwa sababu hatupigani tu mtu mmoja, tunapigania sisi sote. Hiyo ndo jumla na upendano. So mazee, mimi tunataka kuwasalimia kwa kuwasalimia nasema tu mazee, pia mazee, msichoke.
Okay.
Endeleeni tu na tuko pamoja. That's all I wanted to say. Na mazee, big up mazee. One Mic Show, one love.
Thank you so much. Unaenda protests za Dallas, because kuna protests I think.
Hiyo niko ndani kesho.
Uko ndani, sema uko ndani kama SIM card.
Niko ndani kama SIM card.
Chonjo ndo wadi ya Stephen JJ.
Niko ndani kama SIM card, niko maandamano kesho.
Okay. Haya, sawa. Na msirushe
baba. Usibebe dimanga lakini.
I know. Unajua
dimanga tumezipare. Unajua sisi kwa tulikuwa naona sasa tunaendanga mazee uko ready kurusha, lakini mazee sasa hakuna.
Usibebe dimanga jo. Beba tu maji, chupa ya maji. Maji mob. Kwanza kwa kwenu unasikia itakuwa karibu 130 degrees.
We, maze jua imewaka hapa. Maze kesho itabidi maze nimeenda kwanza na kreti ya maji, kula, ice. So itabidi maze tukue.
Beba pia ka umbrella na kale kaloni chia udungilie kwa kona mahali ukichoka unaenda unapiga maji kidogo na dakika 15 hivi alafu unarudi kupiga huko Ruto must go. Wademonstrate ukipiga break. Hata mimi nilikuwa nafanya hivyo, nilikuwa napiga kelele alafu nakimbia kwa kona hapo naingia kwa dinga na chapwa na AC alafu narudi tena.
Okay. Mazee sola imewaka, mazee imekuja na ubaya.
Okay.
Lakini mpaka tu represent mazee hii cause yetu bana. So lazima tukue pamoja mazee. Lazima.
Aya, safi sana Steven JJ. Again the number to call is 2
mazee majenzi mazee tuko pamoja na tuko strong.
Okay. Aya, sawa. Asante sana Steven.
Usisahau sunscreen.
Umembo usisahau sunscreen Steven JJ.
But we are melanated. We don't need.
Na hata wewe unatoka huko na heat rush nyingine haiwezi. So itabidi.
Aya, sawa. Asante sana Steven JJ. Again the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. I'm gonna come to Roba, but a quick comment here from Drukimani. Drukimani says the events surrounding Y2K should have been a clear warning not to vote for Ruto. The patterns we are witnessing now are straight out of Moi's playbook. We must organize and mobilize youth leaders to run for representative seats in every constituencies to ensure we remove these ineffective leaders in 2027. And I totally agree with Drukimani. Udi says, to clarify, what I meant was they blocked us from us in diaspora from voting, or they blocked us from US in diaspora from vote. Okay, hiyo kizungu tena imenipita. Washeke says tomorrow it's 99.
Kufupi anasema they blocked us from voting.
Or they blocked us from voting. Yes, that's true. Now Washeke anasema tomorrow it's 99 degrees in most parts of Texas, so make sure you are hydrated. Roba, I'm gonna come to you. Maybe your reaction to just what was being said, and then diaspora. At what point does diaspora help?
This guy has a very bad history with Y2K. With Youth for KANU alifanya vitu mingi hapo. Allegedly, I don't know, he was doing the dirty work for Moi. In 2007, we all know he had a hand in the violence that happened there. Also in the one in 2017. It's a bad, even akikuwa Minister of Agriculture, hiyo maize scandal ilikuwa. This guy had a bad resume. And the only reason aliingia government, ama hata nini State House, ni juu I think a lot of us didn't participate, and now that we are awake, I'm happy. Like I don't think Kenya is going to be the same again, because I think 8 million Kenyans didn't vote, 7 were unregistered, a lot of youth, majority were youth. So what that happened, what was the result for that is party politics, like Kevo was saying, kingpins just saying huyo ndo anaingia, and that was it. And then tribalism also, there's tribe politics. Hao anasema tu huyu ndo anaingia. If Ruto anasema Sudi anaingia even though hata juu kusoma in English or Kiswahili. And he's allegedly an engineer. Na hata juzi akisema pole, ama sio alikuwa anasema nini about his club, anaongea kwa Kikale. Mimi ni Mkale pia, but hata nilikuwa na float hapo kitu anasema. Mimi sikuwa naelewa nyanya anasema ai umse bana haizi ongea in English hata ku release a statement. Just to release a statement to the public, you're still speaking in your native tongue, which it shouldn't be acceptable for a member of the government. So anyway, one of the reasons that happened is similar to what happened in the US in 2016. People didn't come out enough to vote, and as a result in the US, Trump went into the office, and as a result back home, Ruto went to office. And I think the difference in the votes between him and Raila was like 10,000, or was it 100,000?
It was about 100,000.
200,000. Yeah. So a few votes.
233 to be precise.
233. Yeah. So it would have made a difference going out to vote. And I think we all awake now. And the worst thing they could have done is educate the young people, which they did. Yo free education ya Kibaki ilitufunza civil education, and now we are awake. Now we know like what we must do, and the other thing is the internet exists na sisi, and we have seen the other countries. Tumeona akina South Korea na Singapore wakijijenga, tunaona vile watu wanaishi Netherlands na Denmark na US. We know we deserve better. Tuwezi kubali the bare minimum anymore. So that's the biggest mistake they ever did, is educate us, because now we are awake. We understood we made a mistake in 2022. A lot of us went to vote. I didn't vote myself. I will make sure I vote, even if it's going to Kenya. in 2027, and we have to change our country for the better. But remind me the question you
So
had.
the question was diaspora. Like at what point do we help, and where do we hurt when we are, like agitating on social media and even demonstrating on the streets on issues happening back home?
Yeah. So yeah, the bare minimum, like I said, was just posting on your social media network, talking with your family, whether there are young kids born here or not, just educating them. Just educate them on the issue. Let them know what's happening in their country. They are all Kenyan. Their bloodline is Kenyan. If they were born here, they just need to know what's happening back home. Bringing awareness is the bare minimum that every Kenyan should do. Other than that is just the protest, and I think the Congress men and women who attended the reading of the bill from here also.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about that. Yes.
But I guess we'll talk about later. But that's another thing. We can put pressure on them here because the US is getting very involved in Kenya's policies and in Kenya in general. And that's another story, the basis that they're planning to build in Kenya, and the carbon tax credits that are being sold, that are hundreds of acres of land back home that are being sold under our feet. Though that's another topic to allude to. But yeah, the bare minimum you can do is bring awareness with your friends and family if you don't have a social media. If you do post about any issues going back home, bring awareness. There's a lot of us here. There's thousands of us in the US. We can't just be all silent and minding our business, because Kenya is our country and it's definitely our business.
Okay, let me go to Kelvin Pale. Ruto supporters huko, like you know quite a number of them. What's the current situation? And not to go tribal, but both you, Roba, and you come from a community where Ruto got almost 100% support. So, and you guys are out in the front lines, which, for a moment I was worried for the two of you. How's this, whatever is happening in Kenya right now, how are, people who support Ruto out here in the diaspora, the diehards, what's their feeling? What are they saying? Are they cracking, or are they just keeping quiet right now because this is loud and they'll come back to support him again? Or what's happening there?
First of all, there was a comment about Isaac Mwaura Najua.
Yes.
So I want to make it, this is, people turn things around sometimes or misunderstand and then twist them. This is politics.
Uh-huh.
So to state categorically, I'm not classifying people who are suffering from albinism as mocking them by saying tumewachia jua. But this is particularly Isaac Mwaura, and the reason, if you are an advisor to the president, mwana watu wamekataa finance bill, the people who actually in the recent allocation they had 1.1 billion for advisory. So if you cannot advise the president to go with the mood of the nation after receiving reports from the NIS and such telling you the ground is slippery and everything, until people die, snipers are used and everything, ndo mnaambia president sasa ni kama imeumana, you can turn it around. Then I have no regrets to say it, if you wish suffering on the sons and daughters of other Kenyans, then we can as well wish you the same. But that is particularly in Isaac Mwaura. Going forward, talking about William Ruto, mimi kwanza nilikuwa mse wa bosi mbaya sana. Nilikuwa namuita bosi. So mimi actually I drove when he was coming to Tumaini before the elections. I drove from Tennessee to come and see Mr. William Ruto.
God damn it. All the way from Tennessee.
Who is in town? The general is around now. You're coming through.
Tennessee. That's like 10 hours.
That's like 12 hours actually.
Oh, damn.
12,
okay.
13.
Yeah.
But then why was I making the trip? So I actually happened to come from Elgeyo Marakwet, and at that time we were suffering a lot from the banditry attack. So we were watching women and children at school being attacked and everything. And so I drove all the way and I rose up and I actually spoke. And one thing I talked to Mr. President about was mambo ya banditry, and most common was there who actually happens to be in more closer to the region that is facing the banditry attacks. So I talked about the banditry. Those people, they don't have much. Honestly, when you don't have security, then you don't even have any economic activity that is sustainable, because attacks here and there, ngombe zinaibwa nini. So the little thing that these people had is hope. So they are sending their kids to school to get educated, hopefully things get better, and that is the dream of every parent. You know, you see your kid, umeona maisha imekuwa ngumu, then you just nurture him to grow with education so that they can change the situation back then. But then bandits were coming around, robbing and doing all that stuff. Number 2, the famous Kamarin Stadium, which was mentioned in the campaign very much. And actually, it was said to be in Kapenguria, but no, it is in Iten, my hometown. And I was also talking about the runners in Kenya. The runners have brought so much glory to the country.
To Kenya, yes.
But then Kamarin, which is Iten, at the home of champions, watu walikuja wakachimba for, you know, to be platforms for getting contracts and dishing out money. And then they left it. People could not even practice on it anymore. They had to walk all the way down to Tambach, which is like 20 kilometers away, to go and practice. And mind you, if you stayed within athletes back uko nyumbani, most of them don't really have, like, you know, all the money to purchase all these supplements and shoes and everything. They just run by hope, because it's like 1,000 of you running.
Yes.
And a few of you get the prize.
Yes.
So you just run, just hoping that one day milango yako itafunguka. Now these people, they had to walk like 13 kilometers, then go warm up, and then do workouts, which are actually crazy, and then walk back home. So that's why I did all that road trip to come and represent my people and tell them, come on, there's the guys in Aglio Marakwet, they have this and this. I mean, it's a lot of things, but I had a short period of time to talk. So those were the 2 things that I spoke about. Talking about the ground imekuwa slippery. Actually, one of the MPs, Gideon Kimayo from Keo South, leo alikuja Twitter akasema, mazee mnisame muni Kalenjin, akasema munipige na kiboko konde. Next time nitasikiza ground, and I will do as per your wishes. And you know, William Ruto is a very good student of Robert Greene. I mean, if you read the 48 Laws of Power, law number 7, it says, let people do the work, then take all the glory for it.
Take the credit. Yeah.
Now this guy, umefanya ma MP huko, there's been so much animosity on the ground, then baadaye you come turn it down, ati ndio watu waseme, mse ametusikia. Ma MP wamesukuma, wamelazimisha, lakini amerudisha. But now this is another generation. These are people who've been following up, they've been looking at what you are doing, and they know you're just playing tricks. And I'll come with 3 quotes. Number 1, in the Art of War, Sun Tzu. Unajua kuna mtu amesema hapa, Ruto hakuwa anajua hii mambo when they were attacking with the NIS.
Yeah.
And Sun Tzu in the Art of War says, if words of command are not clear, then...
you are the last party in the conference.
No, go ahead.
Okay, if words of command are not clear and distinct, then the problem is with the Major General. Number 2, hii ni yetu ya Kiswahili, wanasema samaki akioza anaoza kutoka kichwani.
Yeah.
Number 3, na hii ndio bosi anapenda, Nabii.
Yeah.
I will tell Nabii, Proverbs 11, chapter 11, verse 14, and it says, where there is no guidance, people fall, but in abundance of counselors, there is safety. So now the question is, did Nabii know that the attacks were coming, like people were going to parliament and everything? I don't know if he knew, but it was clear, unless he was ignorant.
But Kelvin,
yes.
Si Nabii na simse ni msewa Biblia.
Sasa ndio nimempiga verse hapa ndio ajikumbushe.
Okay, so I just checking.
Ndio ajikumbushe. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, if you look at the president, who is he surrounded by? You know, we have people like David D. The other day we were complaining about taxes. And these were guys who allocated 1 billion to advise the president. Jamaa akasema, we are not listening to whatever you are saying. You either wait to 2027 or you overthrow the government if you wish so.
Yes.
Those arrogant. Are people surrounding the president.
Kiburi.
Now, how do you lead? How do you lead with people like that around you? There's no way. We go to the whole start why the finance bill is having a lot of, you know, controversy and everything. So we are telling Mr. President, the simple role of business in government. Number 1, make sure there's an enabling environment for businesses to prosper and people to come in. Now, if you look clearly at the president ni kama ameamua mambo watu wafanyia nyinyi ni kuexport labor tu. Anaenda huko anakuja kusema nimeongea na watu, tunahitaji watu hapa tunatuma. But now mind you, there are different, I mean there is advantage of doing that, and one of them is brain drain. because at the end of the day you end up losing skilled workers in your country and things like that.
Yes.
And we look at last year, for example, Jumia deliveries, hao ni watu wamekuwa Kenya for a long time. They closed up and they packed and went. Now ndio watu walikuwa wanalipa a lot of taxes. Because now if you keep cutting on income taxes on a biashara, you create an hostile environment for businesses to grow, then you'll just end up recycling revenue. Una collect tax, unalipa wananchi, una collect donor, what will be left apart from the ADA which are collected from the e-citizen and things like that. So you're telling the president, you've tried so much with tax rises, and what has happened is businesses have left the country, startups have fallen down. So why don't you try tax cuts? Like, for example, Kennedy in 1953 in the United States, alifanya tax cuts, and what does that do? It means there's less that is required for for people to start businesses, entrepreneurs to start businesses, and other investors come in because they see that is a good place to invest because there are no harsh taxes.
Yes.
So when they come in, then you collect taxes from them, you get the money, you create employment opportunities for the people, and you get the money from there. But now this guy is not doing that. He just wants to increase taxes and taxes, but you are chasing investment away. Investors are not coming in. And actually looking at Kenya, it is at a very perfect time for investors to come in. And that's why it's been termed as the Silicon Savannah.
Yeah.
Everyone is looking at it. But now if you don't structure the taxes in such a way that they are accommodative to investors who want to come in, then you are not getting nothing out of it. And we actually, if you look at the startups in Kenya, if you look at these tech forums where they crowdfund for startups, Kenya has had one of the most successful startups stories, whereby wasa wanakam hapa, wanakam na innovative technologies, walami wanacheki or any other investor wanasema hii idea ni fit, itashika, let us contribute to it because it's a good idea, design ya Shark Tank. But then what happens, you realize getting there, almost all of them fail. Why? Because there's no employment, you're not putting money to the people, because at the same time, if you don't let businesses have a good time setting up, if you don't create employment, even when foreign investors come in, there's no money in the pockets of the people, there's no purchasing power.
There's no purchasing power.
Now, and when there's no purchasing power, the businesses can't sell.
Yes.
And when they can't sell, then they pack and leave.
I think also to add to that, kuna issue ya brown envelopes, because everybody wants a little
rent
cut.
seekers.
Yeah.
Rent seekers everywhere.
So like if Kelvin wants to have a startup, before he's able to even before he's even able to set it up, there are hoops that he has to go through in order to set it up, because he'll be called for a meeting, he'll be called for a meeting. Then it's like, there's no point of me doing this. I might as well just go to either a neighboring country where I'm not going to be hammered on taxes.
Yes.
Exactly. But it has been an issue.
Yeah, rent seekers, like, and they're all over the place. So many comments have been coming in, but before I read the comments, I want to remind the listeners that you tuned into the One Mic Show. I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi, and in studio tonight, we have the organizers of the DMV Reject Finance Bill 2024 protests. We have Val, we have Roba, and we have Kelvin. Our second protest is scheduled for this coming Sunday, the 30th of June at the Kenyan Embassy in DC. We also have multiple protests that happened in Dallas, LA, New York, and many more cities are coming up. So stay tuned to find out where and when they are. People have already been commenting. So please drop a comment there and let us know if there's a protest happening near your city. And then we'll shortly be asking if Ruto's presidency will survive. So stay tuned for that because this is a very seismic moment for him. Our lines are open. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak.
And I think somebody, listen, when you call the number, please press *5.
Yeah, press *5. So
that will let me know that you want to say something. But if you're just calling, I will not know you want to say something.
Your hand will be raised. But before we continue reading these comments here, just stay tuned. I'm going to read all your comments. Val, please remind us of the plan for protest this coming Sunday, because we don't want anyone to miss it. Val.
Okay. It's at 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Kenyan Embassy. It's going to be hot, so wear the Kenyan colors. You don't necessarily have to wear black. Pack a sunscreen, come with water. We are thinking of doing a vigil. So
Mishuma.
Mishuma, come na Roses Spear if you can, and just come with energy. That's all we want, energy. This is our opportunity right now here at the Diaspora to actually make an impact.
Okay.
And to turn the game around.
Yeah. Okay, Mika, you had something you wanted to say real quick before I go back to the comments?
No, there was a guy on Sunday who came. There was a guy on Sunday who came from Williamsburg, Virginia. I hope he comes back.
Yes, the guy from Williamsburg. I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, I mean, and he was the one who was hyping the crowd. Yes, I mean, like there was a number of people. Then there was another guy. I don't know whether he's from Baltimore. Alikuwa na rungu ya Masai.
Maina.
Yeah, Maina. Yes, so these people, like they came with so much energy. Oh my goodness. I mean, this was of course a sad protest, but these guys made it so much fun. And the other interesting thing on the Sunday protest, we had Haitians coming, because Haitians, there's this issue of Kenya sending its police officers there. We're going to be talking about that shortly. We had a Ghanaian journalism student who came in. We had a South African who came in. All these people are just excited, and this is inspiring a lot of their countries. So before I go to the comments, we have a caller. Do I read the comments first, or we go to the caller first?
Let's go to the caller, because I think the caller's not been pressing *5, but he's been calling and calling. So thank you for calling the One Mic Show 5483.
Please let us know your name and tell us where you're calling from. Caller.
My name is Gidros.
Gidroff.
I'm calling from PA.
What part of PA are you calling from, Gidroff?
I'm calling from Harrisburg.
Okay. Talk to us, Gidroff.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm here. I'm trying to organize guys to come over. We are quite a number of us, and we were trying to. We are thinking of coming there next week. And our sheikh says there's a protest on Sunday. What I'm asking is, do you guys really realize there's a lot of anger on the ground, and thousands of people really wanna go to Washington D.C. So my idea is this: why don't we find a way of reaching out to the many Kenyans in the Northeast? The more we are, the better.
Okay, Gidroff.
I'm just
yes, Gidroff, acha nikuulize swali, because I know Pennsylvania. I mean, I know a bit of Pennsylvania because I live in Maryland, 1 hour from the line of Pennsylvania. I live in a part of Maryland called Germantown, which is 1 hour from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I know if you live in Harrisburg, we are talking about you have people from Lancaster, Pennsylvania that are not too far from you.
Exactly.
And then I'm not sure how far Lancaster is. I know that's another area that has a lot of Kenyans, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There's also an area called Allentown, PA. So I mean, I don't quite know the distances, but are these areas that you're familiar with?
Very, very familiar. I've been living here for almost 20 years.
Okay. Now, what about Pittsburgh? How far are you from Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh is a bit far. Pittsburgh is 5 hours from us.
Okay. So that's quite a distance. Okay.
Yes.
So what's the plan? Are you planning to, mnakuja watu kadhaa, or how many people, for example, have confirmed with you that they're going to be coming this Sunday? Or did you just hear about this protest in D.C.?
No. First of all, I just came across this. I was just online looking for something, what is happening. So I came across this. But at least today we have set up a WhatsApp group where we're trying to mobilize as many people as possible.
Okay.
We were thinking of doing it on Monday or Tuesday. But my idea is this: the more we are, the more impact we're going to have. We have, as somebody said, we want to attract the media. Ruto was here about a month ago. People have been coming out in London, in Paris. Yesterday they were out in Paris, Los Angeles. But my idea is this: if we can come out in droves, this will force the media to notice us, and this thing will go far. Because
the thing is that
yes,
you were speaking like this is not the first protest we've had. We had a protest last weekend on Sunday. So it's yes. Okay. So what I'm telling you is that maybe you guys have learned about it now, and I don't know why, because maybe none of the people where you are follow any of the people around us who have been talking about it on social media, but we've been talking about it on social media about the protests in DC. And there are still some more protests which we're planning in the coming weeks, which we can, maybe Val and Ali can talk more about them. But we will try to talk about the one that's coming on Sunday, but we have more that are coming out in the coming weeks. So it's not that there's not been any communication. Let's just say that you guys didn't know about it, because you cannot just wake up one day and go and protest in DC. You have to get a permit to protest there. So it's something that takes planning.
Aya, let's give Gidraf a chance to finish his statement. Gidraf.
Yes. So I would like to just asking if there's probably somebody I can liaise with, a number I can call and liaise with, so that with my group here, we're able to also organize accordingly.
Okay, sawa. Gidraf, I'm gonna give you my direct contact, and you can call me, and then or you can text me, and then we can liaise from there.
Is this a good number? The 5483 number, is that a good number?
Yes, that's my number.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give it to Ali, and then expect a text from him.
Yeah. Expect a text from me after the show, and hopefully, I know you said you guys were planning. You guys were planning for Monday, but hopefully, mobilize people to come on Sunday, because we are planning another one. Yeah, mobilize people to come for this one on Sunday.
I'm not sleeping. This is it. I really want to wait for your number so that we can agree on a few things, and then I'm going out to my guys.
Okay, and then because we plan another one, which has not been finalized yet, but we plan another one at the International Monetary Fund in DC on Friday, on Friday the 5th, which is between July the 4th and the Saturday. So we are planning one on that Friday.
If you wanna make me mad, just mention I'm there, man.
Okay. Oh, very good. We want you to be mad. We want you to come with that madness.
Kuja na rungu, jamaa.
Okay, sawa. Kuja na rungu.
Thank you, Gidraf.
Thank you so much, Gidraf. And please share this stream to all other people in Harrisburg. Hata ukiona Amish people wamepita hivi, because huko kuna Amish people wengi, unauliza kama wame reject the finance bill. Because everybody has to reject the finance bill. Sawa. Asante sana, Gidraf. Thank you so much. Wow. Wow. That is so amazing. You see, this is how this movement that was started by Gen Zs is unifying people. Pennsylvania ni hapa karibu, but now see ni Gen Z na zillennials. Na mix ya Gen Z na zillennials.
Ni mashakura.
Yeah, ni mashakura. That one right there. But now you see, it's very interesting, because we in DC, I always tell people, the Kenyans who live in the DMV, we have a very heavy responsibility, because we are the only Kenyans across the whole world who live a stone throw away from these organizations and these entities that are enforcing, that are enabling Ruto to enforce these oppressive tax laws on us. So we have a very heavy responsibility. There are so many other Kenyans out there who are relying on us to get our voices heard. So please, you have to come out. And by the DMV, I don't know, I don't only mean DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I'm talking about Delaware. I'm talking about West Virginia. I'm talking about Pennsylvania. Like Pennsylvania is also a very drivable distance to the DMV. Anywhere, North Carolina, anywhere within a 5-hour radius. If you're within a 5-hour radius of DC, you need to show up. So I hope all people in all these other states are tuned in, and the more we are, the more likely we are to attract, local media attention. I mean, of course, we've had international media, Voice of America, and of course, local media back home, Citizen, KTN, have been covering this, but we want this now to be covered on mainstream American media, because that's what will make the lawmakers out here shake. So now, I want to come back to the studio, and want to come back to you, Val. At what point, because people are asking questions here, and actually before I ask this question, watu Facebook watanikula because sijasoma nini zao, sijasoma comments zao. Sambaza podcast anasema, I remember in 2009, I remember in 2000 when Ibrahim Isaac told us Kenyans here in Dallas to chill out on voting. I think he meant Isaac Hassan.
Isaac Hassan, the former...
Yeah, the former IBC commissioner, the former IBC chairman. I remember in 2009 when Isaac Hassan told us Kenyans here in Dallas to chill out on voting, and this Manenos naturally Stena, we missed a cycle of voting. We actually missed 2 cycles. We missed 2013 and we missed 2017.
Yes.
And then Kenya Mashinani anasema Gen Z, shukran. You have done what we failed. Don't lose the mantle and give Ruto to recraft and maneuver.
Time.
Yeah. So Sambaza says how it hurts over here is that anything that happens in Kenya will always come back to us. If, for example, the NHIF does not work, then you will be forced to add money to help out.
I've always said that.
Lucinita Masinde, we need diaspora voting. We can get consular services successfully here. Why not organize services for diaspora registration for voters? And then Stephen JJ, wanajua kucheza hii game, he knew. Gidraf anasema, do you guys truly realize the anger on the ground? Thousands and thousands of Kenyans in the Northeast want to attend the protests, demos, but mobilization is very disjointed. A small group in NYC, another in DC, another in Philly, not very effective. We need thousands to troop into DC in such a way that will shake things up. And we are trying to coordinate with other organizers.
Because like New York can do the New York consulate.
The New York consulate. We have the UN there.
Yeah,
we have the United
there.
Nations
You can
there.
do it over there.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, this is something that we've tried. It's not the easiest things, like coordinating between different states. We've had both good and bad experiences that we don't want to talk about, but we are trying to coordinate, and it's very important. Now that we have Gidraf, we're going to coordinate with Philly people. San Francisco contacted us, and San Francisco is also having one this coming Sunday too. Udimadenge says, this guy is very smart. Very few guys read about Sanzu. I think he's talking about Kelvin Pale. Akitupatia zinaitwaje 48 laws of power. Ama laws of 48 power. Ama what is it? 48
the 48 laws of power.
The 48 laws of power. That one.
And here's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
His initials are KK.
But okay.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
I saw what you did there. And then let me see.
Pole.
Yeah, so hapa Afro-Jamaican anasema there are tons of descendants of enslaved Africans clamoring to move to Kenya and will open businesses. So yeah, so that's another big thing. And I think also I saw something in Canada, Afro-Jamaican. If I get it, I'm gonna send it to you, because I think you can come out for that Canadian protest. And then
there's one in Toronto.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? I think so.
Yeah. Okay, sawa. And then let me go to
I'm getting reports of here New York canceled the event. Okay, come on, a war report.
So was the one that was scheduled for Thursday? Was because there was one that was scheduled for yesterday. So I don't know if that's the one that was cancelled.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Or you can tell us more about that.
Joanna, war report.
Yeah. Now going back to YouTube, watu wa YouTube sijawasahau, but watu wa Facebook sasa wanapeleka mbio. So YouTube guys, please comment. I have Abella Heru says the evolution of humanity says that Africa reaffirms that she's continuing her rise from the ashes. What the setbacks of the moment, nothing can stop us now. Africa shall be at peace soon. Hanigal Njeri anasema great informed guests, they make us feel proud. And then Alenoti says, if only we can be this united in the ballot box. I think that's a direction that we should think of taking. And then I have Rugiatu Koroma. She says, well-informed analysis, good team. And then Stephen Okoth says, one mic, those brown envelopes is the reason Dangote did not open a cement factory in Kenya. He was surprised that we were more corrupt than Nigeria. Yes,
I remember that one.
Yeah, and then Jacob Korir says, for us to really handle corruption, we need to know numbers. Difference between billions and millions. And
Eric,
then Joseph Korir father says, how can one person get $1 billion shillings tender really? Are we serious right now? And Anthony Carrier says, salute to one mic.
Mic.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say pertaining to Jacob Korir's comment.
Yeah.
What, and listening to Latif Spice, he was talking to the economics guy, he was talking to Arun Cheriot, and I think it boiled down. He boiled it down to this: it's public management. It's managing the public finance, meaning getting audits. Tuanze na audits.
Yeah.
That's it.
With the debts. Na madeni.
That's it. Yeah, madeni. Because our champion Jimmy Wanjigi
deni wanalipa. Hatuna hizo deni mingi.
Hiyo deni ni gani?
Hizo deni kuna madeni zinaitwa odious debts. Odious debts are debts that are being paid but you don't know what you did. Imagine Citibank or Bank of America is sending you a credit card bill but you don't remember ever spending that money.
I never swiped for this ticket.
Yeah, I never swiped for this for these tickets, or I never swiped for this $50,000 watch. But wanakuletea bill, ndo hii hapa bill na ulipe
$4,000 bill.
Which is what, and I believe when that audit is done, mambo itachemuka. Mambo itachemuka, and we're going to be in a very
but
different
right
place.
now,
yeah,
mambo imechemka.
Right
now,
yeah,
imechemka.
So let's go back to Val. And Val, I was asking you earlier, at what point did the debate change? Because initially it was reject the finance bill, but now Ruto must go is becoming louder and louder.
The
and
clarion
louder.
call.
Yeah. So at what point do you feel like things shifted?
I think the protests were like almost more than a week, right?
Yes.
And after the second reading, they still passed the bill. And on Tuesday, I feel like on Tuesday after the deaths, that's when, I mean, the chanting was there of Ruto must go.
Yeah.
But haikuwa kubwa hivyo sana.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that loud.
No.
Until Tuesday. Tuesday, that's when everything, like the whole dynamic shifted. Everything went ballistic. After the murders, the accusations, as in, you're the president. Unafaa kuwa, you're the one who's supposed to be uniting all of us. But let me tell you, Ruto is very good with games. I personally think that your bread, sanitary, and diapers, they were personally, ziliekwa hapo kwa bill on purpose so that he can take them out to be seen as a savior.
A Trojan horse.
He wasn't expecting that people will see through that. And then now, given when Robo was mentioning the atrocities, so sahi tumeanza kuona kumbe Uhuru alituambia. But we didn't listen to Uhuru when he was telling us. He warned us.
Some people were punishing him. Yeah. There was a community that was punishing him. Yeah.
Don't go far.
Yeah.
Part of Mount Kenya
was punishing him.
Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Where
we are.
Unajua ni nini li happen Mount Kenya? I think Kenya li happen ni tuli lose trust na Uhuru.
Yeah.
So by the time he was telling us the truth, we were not trusting him anymore.
The problem came is when he decided to shikilia to come out and say that I am going to support this mzee.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
The minute. No. Let's get it. Because remember, there were different factions. There were the factions of Kumi na Kumi, and because now we have committed 10, we have to keep our promise of 10. That was okay. Like, you're keeping your promise. But the guy who has been managing, who most of the mountain considers the guy who came through clutch, right? The guy who came through clutch is telling you hapa iko madhogodhanio. And guys are like, where there's no, because remember, it has always been faux pas to support Raila.
Yes.
In Central. There's this whole thing,
and it's been for a very long time.
Yes. But even with that, in the small barazas and small kamkunjis of the mountain, and some of the people that we are talking to, some people who are ardent, and some guys who blame their torture on Raila, doing the attempting the coup.
Yeah.
It was those guys come out and say, hapana, we're gonna go with Raila. Na unaambia watu wanakataa. Tugokera tene, tugokera tene. Otagore Ruto.
Oh yes, I agree with that.
Right now, vindu vichenjanga. So
Yeah.
that was a problem. But also remember that when you kick him out and he did this, there was almost a million plus. The percentage of voters jumped. And not, I'm not gonna say unheard of, but yes, compared to other times,
Yeah.
Raila was going to get. Then you compare to what the amount of whatever,
Yeah.
that was huge.
It was a huge difference.
But all because waliuziwa sera za hustler.
Hustler narrative.
Not even that. Dynasty.
Hustler versus dynasty.
Where?
Okay. Yeah. So back to you, Val. You know, we're talking about, you know, like when the debate shifted from reject finance bill to Ruto must go.
Yeah,
that's what
so
we're talking about.
I feel like on Tuesday, that's when everything hit the fan.
What was happening on Tuesday?
After the massacre. And then the president gave that speech.
Treasonous criminals.
Yes, he called people treasonous criminals, and he told deployed the KDF and told them to use full force. That's when everybody was like, wow, this is really the guy. This is the guy after the Kiambaa massacre. This is the guy who, when the children, when he was grabbing land, ile shule alikuwa na grab. You remember that story?
The one kina Boni were fighting for.
Exactly. So hizo vitu ndio zilianza kuja kwa akili za watu wanaona hala. And then when you look at this, when it comes to Mlima Kenya, and this is a story for another day, I think Ruto was purposely trying to finish Mlima Kenya. When you think about it, like your story, the Gema Mira, who hike Mira, you know, most of the farming comes from Lima Kenya and Mount Kenya, and then you're doing all these tax hikes and things like that, and it's atrocious. So
and the funny thing is, the place where he was using that hustler term the most was in the cities and in Mlima Kenya. Yeah, when he would go to Rift Valley, he would not call his people hustlers. So that was a very interesting dynamic in how he was doing that.
And every dictator always has a slogan. Let's look at Mussolini, Lenin, Hitler. Watu wanakuanga na hiyo slogan. They unite everybody first with a common cause, and they try to resemble themselves with the people who are going through that. And then once they've achieved what they've achieved, now they show us their true colors.
Make America great again.
So
oh, sorry.
MAGA.
You know, and that's what we are seeing and we are witnessing right now. I feel up on your kila kitu ili change. Like me, before the statement, I was just like, reject the finance bill, Ruto must go. But now after Tuesday, there's no way we should have this man in power, because if we give him the opportunity, right now we decide no more protests, atarudi ata format game yake, he will know how to do this even better. He will find ways to silence people and do a crackdown.
Now, you talked about even the military deployment. There was an issue that people were asking, you know, like, is this legal? Because I already saw Gen Zs, you know, like analyzing it very deeply on Twitter and other places. But I remember what happened is that we saw a Gazette notice first before Parliament went and did a quick sitting. And then all of a sudden, we are seeing, you know, like the military being deployed in the streets. And the courts, I think the courts gave him like, I think a couple of days to formalize, you know, like what exactly he's doing. So where is the legality issue on this aspect of deploying military? We actually saw KDF on the streets in Nairobi, which is, you know, it was a spectacle. No, this is not something that we ever expected to see in Kenya. I think the last time this happened was during the 1982 coup. So what's the legality of this?
I don't think there's any legality, because we've witnessed a lot of breaching of the constitution. I think the constitutions, but I feel like in the constitution it says that Parliament is the one that needs to pass the motion of the KDF. It has to go through Parliament. It's just like this finance bill. There was really no legalities when you think about it. Finance bill inatengenezwa kwanza, si ndio? Inaenda Parliament, inarudi kwa inafaa irudi kwa public participation,
Yeah.
alafu kwa committee tena, alafu I think there's another process, then it becomes which one?
Reading.
Yes,
The
and-
reading, yeah.
yes, the reading, and then now it goes back to the committee and it becomes part of the appropriations bill, alafu sa inaekwa kwa budget. So I don't think some of those criteria were followed. I don't know them in line, but
Yeah.
we've witnessed that. The constitution needs to be upheld in high regard. Lakini in Kenya, there is really no checks and balances, and our judiciary is weak, and that's where we are failing.
Yeah, you
Even
know,
parliament itself is weak.
Yes.
Because I think judiciary, that's the next place that Gen Zs need to go and just salimia a few people there and just remind them that you're supposed to be doing your job. Roba, with what has happened, I mean, I know there's a clamor for Ruto must go. There's a chance that, you know, like maybe he might survive this and stay. But do you think what has happened might now force the government to change behavior from what they've been doing right now? Or do you think they'll wait for this to calm down and then they'll go back to business as usual? Roba, what's your assessment?
Yeah, my response to that is I don't know if if you guys watched the address he gave. I think it was 2 p.m. our time here, 9 p.m. in Kenya on Tuesday.
Yeah.
After everything that happened in Parliament, after all the shootings by the sniper, and I think the Githurai massacre had just happened, or it was about to happen.
It was happening the night after.
Or it was the night after, yeah. And he came out.
It was the night of, not the night,
night
of.
of, yeah,
Night
night
of,
of.
not night after. Night of.
So it was happening that same night, and he came out and called us criminals and said these are treasonous actions, and that he'll use the full power or the full resources of the government to crack down on the criminals. I don't think the government is going to make the best decision in this situation. I think they'll try and divide the youth, and this is, I guess, one of the talking points hopefully we'll get to. But I think they'll try and divide the youth, especially the ones mobilizing people back home. Just divide and conquer strategy. So just try and pay off others that they can pay off to confuse the protests. Silence others where they can be silenced, whether it's physically or kuweka ndani kiasi and then kuachilia. I don't think they'll do the right thing. From what I'm seeing from this government and Ruto, I don't think he'll go the right way. I surely hope he could, or he does, because the country does need a leader who's competent and who can change Kenya for the better. But I honestly have very little hope in after that speech. Even after the next one alitoa the next day akiringa ati ametuma watu Qatar na Saudi, like it's a good thing. Vijana wataki kwenda Saudi na Qatar. We are creative, we are skilled, we want to build our own country. Even the same for all of us. I believe all of us have a dream to go back home and build our nation. I'd much rather work with my people. I do software engineering, so I'd much rather work with my own people creating pieces of software. That's how America got to where it is. The companies like Microsoft, Apple, zilianza juu ya watu kujenga start their businesses, and that goes to the other tax conversation that we're having, that they need to reduce taxes so entrepreneurship can grow and businesses can grow and capitalism can start maturing, because we're not even at that stage to be taxing people as much as we do. But that's another conversation. There's so many conversations to have. But the point is, I have zero faith in this government currently. I don't think Ruto and the government will make the best decision, and that's why my stance bado ni Ruto must go.
Okay, all right.
So, Ali.
Yes, we have a caller. Mika, make your comment and then we're going to come to the caller.
So unfortunately, he was within legal right on what he did. Parliament in 2016 amended the KDF Act 2012 to deploy without first informing Parliament, but the CS defense must notify the National Assembly within 7 days. So he used that loophole to legalize his illegal activities that he did. Now the thing is, he did it without the blessing of the KDF and other people. So it's like he vetoed them or an executive order, and that is why the KDF just came out and didn't do anything. And when there was the LSK did a court case, and as people saw, the KDF were actually with the people. They were just the KDF were the ones who took people home that day. On Thursday, after demonstration, were the one who went home with people. make sure people go home safe. So the thing is, when we have a president who uses the law to turn illegal killings into legal, that means he's protecting himself in case of a future case or anything. That just shows you what kind of leader that person is. The fact that it's the police who are doing the killings, and the police are being told to handle peaceful protesters like they're dangerous, and then he turns around and starts using words that allow him to trigger acts like this, words like treason. And he mentioned things like financiers, organizers. So he wants to make it look like it's a coup that is trying to be put into the country, so it allows him to take these extreme measures to just deal with demonstrators. This is definitely not somebody who's supposed to be leading a country. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. Because if you want to stick to power through such brutality, you don't deserve to be a leader.
I have very, very strong comments coming from Mika. A couple of comments here on Facebook, then we're going to go to the caller shortly. Shiro Christine says, but they could trust the man who may have had something to do burning their people in Kiambaa Church. And then Stephen Jeje anasema amelipwa kuimba hiyo kitu. Read the book Art of War. And then we have Ndinda Mackenzie. Ndinda, karibu sana. Ndinda says, you mentioned audits nikamka. I think we have a weak regulatory environment. The ISPAC, Capital Markets Authority, need to wake up as well. Because how do you have a publicly traded company playing politics, switching off the internet? And that's Safaricom. That's another company that I think also Gen Zs need to pay them a visit and salimia them kidogo and tell them you need to do your job. You're a publicly traded company. A lot of Kenyans make you rich. Stephen JJ says that lets you know he is not in control. Amewekwa kwa hiyo kiti. IMF, World Bank are regrouping, damage control. Drukimani says the government is the government. They are coming back at you. They'll pick a few youth and say they've worked it out. It's a game to them. I said it here before. Enough is enough. And then Stephen JJ says to Gazette before Parliament. And then on YouTube, I can see quite a few comments that were coming in here while we were talking here. Let me see. Stephen Okoth on Mike, those brown envelopes. That I think we already read that. And then he says we need to know numbers difference. I think we read that. We have Nicotieno. Nicotieno says, good show, name is Nick, chatting from Reading, Pennsylvania. So I guess Mbogia, Pennsylvania, itakuwa solid this coming Sunday. Because they're very close to us. And then Jacob Corey says, comprehensive audit is the way to go. We will sustain the heat, no two ways about it. We won't allow them to bring in politics. The ground has shifted and politicians fear one thing, numbers. Aziz Ali anasema, apart from punishing Uhuru, Ruto bought everyone with gifts, the church with donations, Muslims during the month of Ramadan. Now let the devil's advocate on will Ruto survive? The answer is yes, like Trump. And then Aziz Ali says, right now, certain aspects of the bill have gone through despite him
like the appropriations bill.
Withdrawing it. Yeah. So let's go to the caller, and then we're gonna continue with the show. Leo tuta extend kidogo because we have, like this is one of those once in a blue moon shows.
0728. Thank you for calling the One Mike Show. Name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Maryland.
And what's your name?
My name is Erupt.
Erupt.
Joanna Erupt.
Erupt. Welcome to the One Mike Show. Please talk to us. Ignore Uno Mike.
Why are we starting like that? Anyway, I'm actually want to say, first of all, I'm proud of all of you for having this session, especially during this time. I know it's been a lot going on in Kenya and here, and I want to commend the Gen Zs for stepping up and showing us that they can actually take lead and they can be in charge, and they are in charge. And so it's impressive to see young pugilists, as you would call them, duking it out and making their way to make their voices known and creating agency based on their own experiences and really setting forth what they would like to see for Kenya, how they envision Kenya, the Kenya they would like to see, live in, the Kenya we want, right? And so I'm excited to see what's going on in terms of the Gen Zs. My disdain and disappointment is in how everything was handled when the young people were out there on the streets peacefully protesting, and then there was level of, just wakishaing moto and setting sail and now putting your hands up and say, oh no, we didn't do it, we didn't agitate the situation, which is usually used as a cooptation tactic when you want to diffuse what's looking good already. So the Gen Zs were peacefully out there, but to make the Gen Zs look like they don't know what they're doing, you want to co-opt it by setting it up the way they've set up. So it's sad to see what happened. It's so sad to see lives lost, to see young people being abducted, to seeing mothers and fathers and the like crying on the streets asking where their children are, seeing young children killed during this whole process for a finance bill that every Kenyan should have the right to protest. Why should you always be in agreement? Like, it's such an odd life to have where we can't sit and discuss and come to a compromise, or sit and discuss and look for a better way forward. But to show us that things have to be done in a forceful way doesn't show leadership, right? Doesn't show that you're actually a man of the people. Doesn't show that, it shows actually a lot of weakness, because when you can't sit down and have a conversation, when you can't sit down and look back and say, I erred in my way and let me correct it, it means that your ego is on top of the matter. And on top of the matter is the lives that we are seeing lost. On top of the matter is the fact there's underemployment and unemployment in Kenya. Like, these people want you not to keep oppressing them, but you're operating as an oppressor. So it's frustrating to see what's been going on. I know there are two pieces that I want to talk about. One is, during COVID, the pandemic, we were all locked in, and, the Black Lives Matter, of course, was out there. But what was a created space was a 254 Diaspora DJs Facebook page, which was galvanized to be a space where we could all go in and listen to music and hold space for each other. I would love to see those people who are working in that, who are managing that page, share some of these, flyers that are going out for some of these protests, because they have a lot of followers. And that's a great place to share the information, and I hope they're sharing it. Another thing is to just look at how we can incorporate DJs and promoters. We do so many events in the community where we galvanize and we bring people to Kula Happy. So we can come out in Kula Happy. We should definitely be able to come out and protest for our rights. Freedom is not free. You have to fight for it. You have to use your voice to leverage what you would like to see. If you sit there and you're complacent in it and you complain, nothing can be done. That's why we have activists around the world who are constantly negotiating, putting their lives on the line for us to sit here where we are and say, I can go and drink a Starbucks. I can go and get an education. Somebody else had to come out for you. And we can't sit there and be ninjas on our WhatsApp groups or ninjas on our social media and not come out in person yourself as a person. Bring your friends, bring your family members, bring your kids, because what's going on in Kenya can happen anywhere. And if we can't stand as the diaspora and come out in all of these cities where things are done, we can't sit and say, we're not part of the situation, we're not part of the process. No, this is where we have to prove that we as the diaspora can come out. We've been tested in so many ways, and a lot of communities here in the diaspora come out to fight for their own rights. The Ethiopian community, the Nigerian community, the Cameroonian community, there are people out here who actively are engaging. They're congressmen and women in DC, and they're wanting to talk about legislation. So we can't sit and just wait for things to happen. There are phone numbers of calling your representatives, and we should engage. We shouldn't sit. If you sit, things will disappear for us. And the last bit I want to say is, please be mindful of your mental health. There's a hotline in Kenya with the Kenya Red Cross, which you can text 1199, and it's 24/7. And here in the United States, we have a hotline, suicide line. If you're experiencing mental illness crisis, or the information you're receiving, you're triggered, you're experiencing anxiety, it's 988. So those are the things I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. I want, before you go, I know you mentioned DJs, and of course, everything that you mentioned was, like, quite pertinent to, like, what's happening. But you mentioned DJs and promoters. Do we also include, like, those diaspora groups that were organizing people to go see Ruto during the state visit, or we forgive them for now?
No, everyone. Yeah? I mean, everyone should be part and parcel, because you can't come out and want to sit and enjoy when something like this is happening. You're sitting on the side.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Asante sana. And we hope to see you on Sunday at the Kenyan Embassy. Are we going to see you?
Yes, I will make sure you bring a lot of water so that we can all be hydrated.
Okay. And
Ali.
Yeah, and yes, there will be enough water, and bring all people from Africans for mental health. Because like there will be a lot of people who will need your assistance there. People are dealing with a lot of this situation is very stressful to a lot of people without even knowing.
And
also bring your non-Kenyan friends. I'm telling everyone, bring your non-Kenyan friends out there, because there are so many other countries that are looking up to us.
I was gonna say, Awor, I know you have. And can you plug in? You have a session going on tomorrow, Tafadhali?
Yes, plug in your session tomorrow. Please. 30 seconds, and then we'll send you an invoice later.
We have I can't be invoiced. You owe me a lot. We have an African Mental Conversation series tomorrow. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We have amazing panelists, mental health professionals. One who works on trauma. Another one is a clinical psychologist in Kenya, in Nigeria. And then we have diaspora men who are going to be, navigating the conversation. We want to talk about the societal expectations and stereotypes and the implications on men's mental health. It will be at 11 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page, africansformentalhealth.org, or you can also, Africans for Mental Health on our Facebook, and you can register also via Zoom. We have our posts everywhere, so just check them out, and we look forward to seeing you guys.
Post the link on
and this is for men. This is for men by men. So women, we are just going to be listeners. The men need to come out and really talk about this. So we will be at the back.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you. In the chat on Facebook so that people can get it. Thank you so much, Awar.
We have another caller.
Bye.
Yes, another caller?
Yes.
Where? Okay. Again, the number is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak.
Yeah, we have 1974. Thank you for calling One Mike Show. Name and where you're calling from. 1974.
Hey. Habari zenu?
Mzuri sana.
Mzuri sana. Sambaza huyu kutoka Dallas, Texas. Sambaza podcast.
Haya, Sambaza, talk to us about Dallas. We know we know there's been a protest already there, and there's other ones coming up. So talk to us, Sambaza.
So I want to say something about the protest, and this one was arranged weekend. Saturday last weekend, not Saturday, the Sunday one last weekend. So this was actually, I would like to commend the people who are in Kenyans living in Foni. We have a group there. So ikaanza tu kama mchezo, watu wakasema ni aje sisi we continue out of you guys were DC, wakasema kama DC wanaanza, how come tusifanye na pia LA? And if you notice, we all synced up at 1 p.m., all of us. So we said at 1 p.m. on Sunday, kama nyinyi mnafungua yenu 1 p.m., even though the time difference is there, we decided we were going to do it at 1 p.m. So a group of us got together, Auntie Nas, and there was Jedida. We got around and decided to say, hey, why don't we do something, got the flyer going on and everything. People showed up. A guy called Sergeant, I forget his last name, but Sergeant came and he was there on Sunday, and he's the one who brought Wajakoya. who was around, and Wajakoya said he changed his ticket and he decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to come and talk to you guys and do everything. So this was just something that was arranged by a group of people, and we wanted the Gen Zs to come in. Now, right now, that's the reason why you see the two groups. There's the Diaspora Council, Pia now, wanatengeneza yao that's Sunday. So we're in talks with them. We're trying to see how we can work together. But the thing is, we also have talked to doing this thing with the Gen Z. Actually, the Gen Z are the ones who are supposed to kind of help us out to kind of move or shift the narrative to whereby they're the ones who are going to be in the forefront to talk about, what's going on, and also mostly we're here to facilitate. And out of this, we're thinking about possibly maybe in the future we start teaching kids out there civic education, online. Hapa sisi wenyewe we learn about these things. If there's any information kama hizi mabills natokea, somewhere along the line some information is put out there so that people are aware of what is coming up, not to be blindsided. The thing I was going to say about this thing that we're witnessing right now is that it's very phenomenal. I've noticed that kuna wazee hapa, even watu wa Spice FM, and I was watching another nation in this morning, NTV. They were kind of trying to say that the Gen Zs have to kind of come together and have a leadership. Then when I went to Twitter, there was a Twitter space that was running around. They decided they're not going to get on to giving out who their heads are because they're going to be hunted.
Yes.
To me, I am looking at this as being one of a unique thing that somebody loosely said that had been done in South Africa at some point in time. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I'm championing for the betterment of the Gen Zs. One thing we need to start moving the narrative from here and also back at home is, you see those campaign videos where you see a person doing a good deed, a person helping the soldiers. Like there was one askari alikimbia kwa church, akifika kwa church wakaambia achana naye, wakamwacha. Or the one who's given water. I think somebody should come up and compile all those good deeds and circulate those as much as we can. I know there's the other part where we show the bad things that are done, but also when you show the good deeds that are done, it kind of throws off the people who want to put in the bad things that you've done to counteract, because somebody is coming up with a propaganda sometime to kind of kill this momentum. Lastly, I'm going to throw this out to people to tell all. This was said in the morning, and I think this is the best thing. As Africans, we should learn to tell our KDF when you see them, thank you for your service. A guy said when they were seeing them out in the streets, they were telling them, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. If you are part of the KDF or even the police, and somebody comes and tells you thank you for your service, it makes you feel great because there is something that you appreciated. Hata kama you're earning ile pesa kidogo, but somebody comes and says thank you for your service, it goes a long way. So that can actually make the people feel like, okay, we're together in this fight.
Okay.
Mimi nimemalizia hapo. Wish everyone all the best. We just keep continuing with this and make sure everybody is held accountable. Asanteni sana for allowing me to speak. Tutaonana October.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Yeah, and your space is here ready in October. Like we've already marked that date on the calendar. Tutakukaribisha hapa studio. Asante sana Sambaza, and
live kwa studio.
Yes, live kwa studio, and we're gonna connect with the Dallas team. Once we are done with the Sunday protest, we're gonna connect with the Dallas team so that we have a more harmonized approach moving forward. Asante sana.
Thank you, Sambaza.
Awesome.
I know we have another caller. Let me read some comments here real quick.
Read the comments.
So Baldhead anasema Zakayo is caught up between a rock and a really hard place, quieting Gen Z and keeping up with the demands. Hell, he will grow white hair quicker than BHO. I think that's Barack Hussein Obama.
Of course.
And then Bamo says hapo kwa happy Fully Focus has an event in ATL on July 4th, and the flyer says proceedings go to Kenya protest victim families. And then Gloria McCarthy says the gentleman speaking from Dallas, that's Ambaza who just spoke. There are a couple of Miss Kenya USA contestants who are spearheading the fight. He's also invited to the pageant to come and talk to them on August 17th, 2024. Alafu hapa hapa Facebook pia kumechacha kidogo. People are speaking. Caller, just stay tuned, we're going to talk to you. Let me see. Stephen JJ says Ogola wouldn't have agreed to that crap. I think that's about deploying the military. And then Luis Muya says Auto also threw his IG under the bus. He called him the most incompetent IG in the world. And then Gidraf Hapa from Pennsylvania says effectively Ruto has effectively made Kenya a client state of the IMF and World Bank. The IMF had the audacity to double down on their prescription for our country. How dare they? We need to oppose the IMF with the same vigor we are fighting Ruto with. Yes, and that's why we'll be going there on Friday. And then Udimadenge says Ruto will end up like the Russian Romanov family. Hey, ebu tueleze more about that Romanov family ndio tujue mapema. And then Stephen JJ says hizi details muhimu. Our report says where are all the DJs, the US DJs and promoters and the 254 Diaspora DJs live in the mix. And then here of course Awara has given us a link to the event that they have tomorrow, the Zoom session they have tomorrow. And then Stephen JJ says the following is organic, let's appreciate it. Hii kitu ya kuna leadership inatakikana itulizwe. So let's go back to the call and then we'll come back to the studio to try to
and
wrap
just
up.
that one for Joanna or report. Brenda BK already they're already organizing something in Houston.
In Houston, okay.
So, but that's not to say that it's 254, but being part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have, let's see, 1663. Thank you for calling the One Mic Show. Name and where you're calling from.
Hello.
Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Butere.
Okay, and
what's your name? Is Misha.
Misha from Butere. Misha from Butere. Talk to us.
Misha wazalendo Cape Fear walicheza game this weekend.
Yeah, we're still recovering. I can't even get the remote, but anyway, there are another guys still waiting. So some of the questions have already been answered. There's a thing done on Friday, because I was going to ask why you guys having this demonstration on a Sunday when it's a slow day, so the impact is not going to be as much as an impact. But since you mentioned there's one on Friday, at least we'll get the necessary attention. That's a side thing. But Kwani, we don't have a GSU. What's the duties of GSU if the police could not handle the crowd? Why do we have to go to KDF? Question.
Yes.
Because then the GSU, what are they actually doing? See, it's Fanya Fujo one. And it's true, you'll get a mixture of guys who will have a peaceful thing and others who want to thug around and, steal Italian suits, as we saw, which is inappropriate. Over here, when it got to that place, see, they sent in the National Guards, which is equivalent to the GSU. So we definitely have a bigger Houston problem in the system in Kenya, not only about the financial bill. The financial bill just showed us that we actually have a Houston problem in Kenya. If LSK cannot even be heard, and that has been passed, then we actually have a way bigger. So GNZ, you guys, well in, let's start this fight, and now just know that your vote matters in the next few years. And go out and vote. Make the wise decision. So, in a nutshell, that's what it is. If you guys can digest and try and put some things in perspective, because yes, we need to have some things into place, into order. For guys to break into, the offices, that's a security threat, granted. Guys now, threatening that, you must go, granted. But if we cannot follow the procedures and put the necessary stages, like, okay, you're not well equipped in the police, you have the GSU, what are you guys doing in between now? You only go and beat the Nairobi University students when they riot. now you bring the KDF guys who are supposed to protect our borders. I mean, those guys. Then okay, excuse me. So you also at the same time say, police don't throw the tear gas, don't throw rubber bullets, don't do whatever. So what are the KDF supposed to do? Give you a handshake and say, you guys, please go home? So what? That's the bigger thing that we need also now to look. What kind of system do we have in place that is governing us? Even if it's an individual, or is it, if we get caught, whom and how do we go around it?
The rule of law.
Okay, very, very pertinent questions coming in from Misha that need answering.
Thank you, the man from Butere.
Sawa, asante sana.
Kenya One.
Natuma salamu kwa watu Butere pale. Nakuja hapo. I'm coming. You guys, it's a good show, good topic, good opening of the mind. But we also out here, we have to see, like, wait a minute, what kind of system do we have for those who we have at home? Where can they go to?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, some.
Yes.
Thank you.
Where?
Yeah, some very.
All right, no worries. But you guys, thanks.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. Yes, some very pertinent questions coming up. Like there's so many comments coming in. I don't know whether we can read all of them. We're now coming to a close, but I can see here. Well,
you are the last party in the
there's a guy, I'm not sure if he's a Ruto supporter, the One Mic Show, we are open to all different opinions. Anaitwa Mseba Ukweli on YouTube. He says, hata muimbe Ruto must go. Any undemocratic means will be resisted. Wait 2027, then go and vote. Any other means hatutakubali. Hata muimbe till sun comes out. That's Msema Ukweli on YouTube. And now just to come back to the studio, I can see also Dorothy Omo on Facebook is saying, if you look at the list of appointments, they are mostly Kalenjins. They are not going by qualification. And then Steven JJ anasema Butere mwisho big. Now, because we're not going to be able to cover everything that we wanted to cover today because there's so much. I just want to quickly remind the listeners that, of course, you're tuned into the One Mic Show. I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi, and in studio tonight we have the organizers of the DMV Reject Finance Bill protest. We have Val, we have Roba, and we have Kelvin. A second protest is scheduled for this coming Sunday, the 30th of June at the Kenyan Embassy in DC. We also have multiple protests that have happened in Dallas, LA, New York, and many more cities are coming up. So stay tuned to find out where and when, and we've already been mentioning them along the way. We'll shortly be talking about international coverage of these protests and international celebs talking, tweeting about the Reject Your Finance Bill 2024 protest. So stay tuned. Our lines, of course, are open 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. But before we continue, Val, America's complicity in Kenya's situation has been quite glaringly open. From the state visit, kuna issues kama Haiti, there's IMF being mentioned. There are those congressmen and women who they decided to visit Parliament during a debate of this contentious bill. Of course, they're on a trip to Kenya, and maybe it was a coincidence, but we still don't have that report. I mean, of course, the video is out there. We posted it for people to see. So, as people who are out here in the US, what can we do to highlight America's complicity?
Before I even answer that question, I want to give a red card, 2 red cards to 2 boules out there. Barbara Lee, she's a congresswoman, California, and Gwen Moore with Wisconsin. She's the Democrat congresswoman there. Those 2, you know how they always say, like, when people are at the top, there are those who forget, like, where they came from, especially, like, in terms of the history of the let's just talk about the slavery and the neocolonialism and what's happening there. Why were these two, there was 8 of them, but these 2 specific ones, and the reason I'm calling them out is because they're black.
Okay.
Why were they there? They couldn't have said no. I don't have a beef, I mean, I have beef with the 6 other ones who are white men.
Yeah.
But these 2 specific black women, those are bootlegs, bootlickers, for those who don't know what I'm saying.
I was about to say, who are bootlegs?
Bootlegs are bootlickers. Au kwanza.
I thought that was somebody from Rift Valley.
No.
Oh, you're thinking Kool-Aid. You're thinking Kool-Aid. Yeah?
Cholet.
Or Cholet. Boss. Anyway.
I'm Ghost Muley.
Muley is not from.
It's the name.
Yeah, it's the name. It's the name.
So obviously, Ruto is in the pockets of the Biden administration. When he came, mpaka alipewa nini, aliambiwa kae chini kwa kiti ya president.
Yes.
Like that was a very big statement that was being passed.
And that was a very horrible symbol. I don't think Ruto realized it.
Yes.
But that was a very horrible symbol.
He was actually getting mocked, you know.
Yeah.
Walikuwa na mgas up. So
this, yeah. So you know, that, you know, like the state visit. And now the people who, you know, like the one Mike show, we've been accused so many times of being biased. But I am glad what happened because we've been vindicated. You know, like we've had meetings of where, you know, like we're asking ourselves, should we now start playing devil's advocate and seeing the other side of the story? But you know, one thing I like about our format is that none of us are trained journalists. Whatever we know, you know, like we've learned online, and we have one of our super producers, Mubelo Bandio, who's an actual journalist. So he certainly sometimes keeps a discipline. But what I like about the independence we have is, I don't like this thing in journalism where they say that there's always 2 sides to a story. That is a lie. There are some stories that have only one side. And I'm sorry, this is one of them. You know, msema ukweli, you know, I'm sorry, you're wrong on this one. You know, like there's certain stories. You know, another example of a story where there's only one side is like what's happening against the Palestinians. But there's only one side. You know, like there's no 2 sides.
The Zionist side.
Yeah, this thing of you know, like let's listen to the other guys and let's listen to their point of view. No, you know, these guys are killing these other people, and it's live. These murders are being broadcast.
And nobody has ever listened to the Palestinians for over 75 years.
Yes. And so that's why I'm saying, you know, I like this independence. So as far as the complicity of Americans, there's the International Monetary Fund. There's these projections of soft power, like this state visit. Remember, the state visit is America's highest expression of soft power, and they only do this when they want something from you. They will never give you a shout out. You know, like an American president will never give you a shout out in a UN speech, especially if you are an African president, unless they want something from you. And this is something that a lot of people have been saying. And of course, we already saw they already delivered the first thing that they wanted, you know, which was sending our troops to Haiti, you know, like our policemen.
Our police officers.
Yeah, our police officers. The designation of the non-NATO ally was officialized just a day before those troops were sent. And this was no coincidence. This was no coincidence at all. So there are so many other things that America wants from Kenya. And I think they like working with William Ruto because they know he's vulnerable, they know he's naive, and they know, you know, like he has certain things that he wants that they can give him. And believe it or not, the United States right now is fully vested on having a second term presidency of William Ruto. If you don't believe me, you know, just ask anyone who understands geopolitics. America always accuses China and Russia of meddling in elections, but America is the biggest meddler of foreign elections in the world. And they will try to meddle in Kenya's elections. Now, when you go back to when William Ruto won the elections in 2022, or allegedly, you know, like when it was still being contested, Remember, that was the time when Meg Whitman, let's call her Meg Jerotich Whitman, had just been sent to become the ambassador of Kenya. So Meg Whitman, she was one of the first people while the election was still being contested. She was one of the first people who said that this was a credible election. And to me, red flags all over the place. And with what we've seen, like along the line, we've been vindicated. The special envoy for Haiti, I think his name is Dan Foote, admitted that the idea of sending Kenyan troops or rather Kenyan police to Haiti was Meg Whitman's idea. Ambassador Meg Whitman, that's another person that we are issuing a red card. Meg Whitman must go. That's someone who has to go, because she's partly responsible for enabling all these shenanigans that William Ruto is doing, and we need to do something about it. Remember when when Ruto was coming here for the state visit, why was the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi inviting people? Why is the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi involved in a state visit of a Kenyan president? Then they're supposed to be working in Nairobi, not inviting, though it's sending personal invites to people over here. So they're very, very involved. It's kind of like Meg Whitman has become Kenya's Ruto's minister for foreign affairs. So we have to be very careful about what's happening. And of course, those Congress members also need to tell us what this is about. Now, coming to Roba and Kelvin. But before that, I think Val has a quick point she wants to make. Then I'm going to come to you, Roba.
Kwanza, US needs to be focusing on the visa corruption thing that is going back, happening at home. That's what Meg Whitman needs to do. And then another thing, this thing is bigger than you think. I was just wondering, could there be a correlation between Russia and World War III and them moving their ships, building a base, and then the Kenyan police going to Haiti? I wonder if there is a relation there, if something is connected. Maybe
there's something cooking.
There's something cooking. Something definitely cooking.
There's something cooking from unofficial sources, and I repeat, this is from unofficial sources. And of course, we've already seen, with this designation of Kenya as a non-NATO ally, they want Kenya to be trying, those Houthi rebels who are caught in the high seas. Eventually, their plan, I strongly believe, is to have the Kenya Navy go out there, fight on behalf of the U.S. And let me tell you this, they will get cooked by the Houthi rebels. Mika.
Their plan is actually just Manda Bay. They want a bay. They don't have a bay in Africa. They want Manda Bay because if you've ever looked at the geography of the world, Kenya is situated in the center of the world. The other base that they have in that region, close by, is in Bahrain. And so for them, they feel that Bahrain handles much of the Gulf. And if they can get one in Kenya, that easily also kind of dilutes the presence of China and Russia in Africa. These are all geopolitical wars that they're fighting right now. Right? There's a lot of Russian presence in Northwest Africa. There's a lot of Chinese presence in South Africa, Angola, and that area region. So for them, it's more of like they've never really set up a serious base where they can just say that we have an American base. And Manda Bay has always been something that not even Trump was trying to get into a trade deal to get Manda Bay. Like all American presidents have just been crying for Manda Bay and asking for Manda Bay. And I guess there is actually a report that came out that the IMF told Kenya there's going to be pushback against the finance bill, but they assessed it to be a mid-tier pushback. And then it will go back to being okay. So there is a meddling hands, and that is why, for me, I keep on insisting and telling people we can call those 8 congressmen who are there, But if we call the people who represent us here locally and complain about it and talk about it and make noise about it and make it known in Congress that this is an issue among the Kenyan voters here who reside here, and it's an issue for congressmen who are here, there's gonna be a much serious impact on that, because once you affect their local politics over here and they start talking, then the government will have to be put in check. Why are you doing this? So we have to make that noise, but let's not lie to ourselves. There is a lot of meddling in this thing. The thing is, Ruto is being told, we are going to finance you and give you these things, but you have to show us how you're paying them. And he says, I'm going to increase taxes. There's so much potential for me to tax in the country. And then they look at it and tell them, okay, go tax your people, and then we're going to we'll negotiate with you. So, no, we're not going to let them allow Ruto to do what he wants to do so that they can get what they want from Ruto. We have to fight them. As the Kenyans are fighting there, we also have to fight here for the Kenyans back home.
Okay, sawa sawa, asante sana Mika. Want to come back to studio and like as we're getting close to wrap up, because man, there's so many angles to attack this. There's so little time. Roba, there was the issue, the initial like silence of the church, but I mean, of course, the church has now clearly come out because they have been a big part of this protest. I think on last Sunday was a day when they were talking about Occupy churches. So talk to people like about the church, especially for people like us who are not Christians. Like what issues do Gen Zs have with the church? And here I'm talking about, of course, the church in Kenya and also the churches out here in the diaspora, because out here in the diaspora we have a lot of Kenyan churches.
Yeah. So I think one of the issues, I think the church is complicit in what's happening, because they're also pretty much detached from the youth, and they're mostly affiliated with a lot of these politicians, kama kina Sudi, because they give 2 million or 20 million, I don't know, every Sunday. So to them, they know money is coming inwards to them, and I think they don't pay taxes, of course, right? So they don't really have a big impact on their side. So instead of doing the right thing that the Bible preaches, that they preach themselves, that they know the people are stealing, and they're stealing our Kenyan's taxes, and they're giving it to them. And now SRB hapo kama hiyo, the famous videos of akina Sudi, that they're just counting millions and millions of shillings that they're giving to churches and harambes. Instead of doing the right thing, they're here supporting where the money is. And that's the fortunate thing about, I think, like us human beings in general, the greed sometimes becomes too much that you turn a blind eye. You turn a blind eye to corruption. You turn a blind eye to killings or death and destruction, like what's happening in Palestine. It's just like the greed is too much, and that's what is making the church complicit in all of this. And the only way, and the funny thing is, the thing they don't understand is Gen Z is not really part of the church these days. So hiyo pesa yenye wanapeana hapo, yenye wanafurahisha pastor and baby boomers and Gen X, they don't know it's not affecting. They don't know that I affect Gen Zs at all. Like, they don't care about the politicians who are giving out a lot of money there. They don't love them the same way the pastors and the generation of the pastors do. So that will be another big issue for them to tackle, because they can't simply fix it by just going and giving out a bunch of money like they've been doing. They'll have a big issue to tackle with the Gen Z, and the next 3 years will be a headache for the current regime. And then also, I think, to touch on Meg Whitman, I think I remember when I saw she was appointed to Kenya, and I looked through her resume, and I was trying to figure out why would she want to go to be an ambassador in Kenya? Because she has gone to Princeton, she did her MBA in Harvard, she has been the CEO of eBay, she's been the CEO of HP, Hewlett Packard, And I was going through her resume, and I was just wondering, like, she's worth $3 billion. So I'm saying, out of all the, see at Kenya in Chimbaya, but out of all the ambassadors who have been there in Kenya, why would a 67-year-old woman who's worth $3 billion, who has been the CEO of Fortune 500 companies, want to go and be an ambassador back home? Akutaka France or something, somewhere else, where, because she's 67. I'm sure she won't want to go and stay in Kenya for a couple of years. I was just assuming the best, that she loves Kenya and she wants to help us, but I know there's a lot of geopolitical and neocolonial puppeteering going on. And I think, like Ali said, I think the next wars in the world will be through proxy wars. So it's not going to be at US na Russia wanatupiana mabombs. They'll use other countries, the smaller countries kama Kenya, since now we are a NATO ally. And I think one of my Kale brothers alikuwa na ringa hiyo like it's an accomplishment by Ruto. Ati now au kuona amefanya tukue na NATO ally. Nikasema unajisikia, do you think that's going to help us? Do you think we want to be a NATO ally in Africa? And honestly, I mean, we live in this country. It's a great country, but they have their own motives and they love to work in the shadows. And another thing is they're always very tactical in how they approach things. And I honestly think their number one then the number one case that they go for, the number one people they're fighting for is themselves in Europe and how to extract the raw materials we have in Africa at the lowest possible cost. I think I was reading the other day that Congo has I think 2 trillion worth of resources that haven't even been discovered. The lithium and I think the cobalt that we use on our devices and any other resources that they have in Congo is still in there, that it's worth 2 trillion, that we can even build, that can build the whole of Africa overnight if we actually extract it the way the UAE and the Saudis have done. But it's easier for them to just keep it cheap, keep us divided, keep us in civil wars, or just get an incompetent puppet that can just do their dirty work for them. And I think that's what's happening back home. And they have found this system where Ruto used with using the churches and making sure the churches are quiet, because I mean Kenya is mostly a Christian nation. So if the big churches and the big bishops stand and say, vijana mwachane na maandamano, it's not right to. I don't condone any violence, but instead of listening to our pains and criticizing the government in any way, wanasema tu poleni, but musiende don't to the streets, like achana na maandamano, because they know on Sunday a big lump of cash is coming there, which is big lump of cash is coming their way, which is the citizens' taxes. So it's a whole big mess that it will take a while to tackle, and I know we have already been here for a couple of hours. It's so many issues going back home. So,
I was gonna say those proxy wars are like how the Northlands were invaded. But
and when you talk of proxy wars and you talk about that being the future, it's actually the present. Do you know where a proxy war is being fought right now? Sudan.
Yes.
Sudan is a total proxy war.
Very
Russia is there, America is there,
but they're using
they're using other people, and now there's proxies of proxies. So it's not even America giving them weapons directly. It's Jui Marani UAE, Mara in Saudi Arabia. It's a very complex web. But in this Gen Z world, there are people out there on YouTube who are breaking down everything. There are no secrets anymore. In fact, that's the reason why even America, these little games they play, like in using someone else, there are people who are breaking this thing down frame by frame on everything that's happening, be it, like the weapons that are being used to kill Palestinians, like what Americans did in Sudan, and the fact that Russians wanted to build a base there, but Americans don't want them to have that base. It's a total mess. So that's something that we have to be prepared for, and we have to be very careful about. So when you're here singing that, we've been made NATO allies, you are gonna be on the crosshairs of powers like Russia, and those guys can turn us into dust if we are not careful.
And within a very short time, says, "I'm sorry, we'll send some aid."
Yeah, that's what they'll say. We'll send some aid.
And the good Bible says that. Let me quote President's good book: "My people are dying because of lack of knowledge. We don't have knowledge."
Yes. Now, Kevo. Your issue at church,
Mr. Sanzu.
Yes, Mr. Sanzu, the intellect hapa today. Your issue at church, iko ni church ya Kenya peke yake ama imefika pia hapa diaspora? Imefika church ya diaspora.
When me wanna, I feel like the church has actually been church and religion has been misused for a very long time, especially when it comes to politics.
My friend.
And looking back, I mean, and we were warned. If you look at Karl Marx, for example, he says religion is like opium to the poor. So to the masses rather, I mean to the masses of the poor. But you realize that people come in and sell you some sort of false hope. And you know, the most vulnerable people are people who are trying to survive. Like we see in William Ruto, mtu alikuwa anaenda church analia anasema hata kama hatuna baba wetu ni God the Father ako juu mbinguni. But then people wanasema ati nchi haitajengwa na watu ambao wanaishi kwa magorofa. Nairobi ni mtu anavaa slippers. Now you ask yourself, Mr. William Ruto, when did you wear slippers last? So religion has hugely been misused ever. I mean, for a long time, and that is my take. And just to have my last sentiments, because I guess we're about to wrap up, and we're gonna give you a chance to get your last sentiments. Let me read a few comments before Uno Mike wraps it up for us, and then we'll see where we go. Now, Asheke says in response to Msema Ukweli, never say never. Who would have thought Kenya would have a movement of this magnitude? The same IMF, World Bank, and US government propping up Ruto might decide he's a liability and drop him. We are not buying anyone selling fear. And then Dorothy Oma says he was bought. Stephen JJ anasema this topic hits home sana sana. I have been very vocal about this, Leo. We deserve good governance, the leadership. Those positions are not just designated. They are earned through merit, hard work, dedication, and resilience. Big up. Let's keep up the hard work and better our future. Dorothy Oma says Ruto is Biden's foot soldier. Brian Nyamu anasema red card. I think this is a red card to Meg Whitman when we're issuing a red card to
Brian amenge na red card too.
Yeah, and by the way, Brian Nyamu is a very good photographer. He took some of the best pictures during the protest. So Brian Nyamu, we hope you're gonna come with that big camera. Unajua zile hapana, wachana na hizi kamera hizi pinhole camera hizi za Fizo. This camera had a long, it's one of those cameras za National Geographic.
Sio Samsung?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sio iPhone. Wacha hizo hapo. And then let me see, Stephen JJ anasema who bombed the Russian pipeline to Europe? And then Stephen Jejena with Trump in anaacha question mark hapo. And then on YouTube huko pia YouTube watu walikuwa wamechacha.
Imechacha
Yeah, YouTube Baldhead anasema the complicity is blatant. Read in the Nation they expected opposition from opposition but not this much from Gen Z. But they're relentlessly behind Zakayo implementing his oppressive tax bill. Aziz Ali anasema the American empire will always for its black or white. Look at how they can't I think pass a law stopping lawmakers from insider trading. Do you know
how much the fine is?
Do you know how much the fine is? It's $500 at the punishment. Yes, you're insider trading, very dangerous. It happened a lot before, especially before COVID. You had congressmen, like dumping certain stocks and buying others. And then Aziz Ali says Meg Whitman ran away from Kenya the first week of the demos. Alikwenda. And then Rasvik, who appointed her? Of course, it's Joe Biden who appointed her. And then Aziz Ali anasema being a NATO ally paints a target.
Tell your friend that.
Yeah, so tell your friend who was celebrating. Yeah.
Nilimwambia sijui katasikia.
Yeah, mwambie tu until the Russians decide that they want to send like walikuwa naitwaje ile group ya walikuwa naitwa
Prozognen.
Lakini
the Wagner group.
Yeah, Wagner.
Prozognen, whatever.
Prozognen, yeah.
Ushio.
Yeah, wakianza kutumwa watu wa Mount Kenya wataweza kupronounce hiyo name kimasakura. Yeah.
Prozognen. Unasikia?
Acha kutuonea.
And then Brian Nyama anasema we did our protest on Sunday. It was nice. We have another one this coming Sunday, Brian Nyamu. Please come back. Those pictures that you took, my goodness, they were so iconic. Zilikuwa zinafanya kina Robapa na kina Kelvin wakaya kama Steve Biko na Julius Malema. So please come and take those pictures. Come and take those pictures. Uno Mike, wahenga wanasemaje?
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mikoch ama nyomosh.
Omosh, I think alilala.
Alilala.
Yeah, I think he went to sleep. So Mika watch. Huyo hapo, he has a number of violations the last couple of weeks, but wacha tumsamehe leo. Leo we are on a serious mission.
Yes.
But in absence,
I would have called you guys names, but we have visitors.
Okay. Sawa. Okay, Omosh sawa. We were just making sure you are awake.
Omosh basi sema kwa heri.
Kelvin and Co. Asanteni. You guys have done something and have awakened, I think, the inner fight we've always had in us, and maybe it has been sleeping, it's been dormant, but tuko pamoja. So thank you for doing that for us, for the country, and for the future of our country, our kids, and for those who lost their lives as part of this fight. Asanteni sana. Back to you, studio.
All right, asante sana Omosh. Mika.
I just want to say thank you to Kevin, Robert, and Val. It's not that you took the initiative and you stood up by your fellow young ones. Also to thank everybody else who's pushing on this fight. This is a fight that is not gonna end pretty soon, but it's something that we need to continue doing. Like if we want to rectify the mistakes that we made, especially people who are my generation and above, if we want to rectify our mistakes, we need to support this generation that is fighting right now in any ways we have. We can see that the LSK goes out to get people when they're arrested. They have a pay bill number. You can support them financially. They need those resources. KPMDU also have a pay bill number. They need those resources when it comes to getting bandages and antibiotics and painkillers and everything they need to treat people during to hold those medical camps during the protest. You guys, but hata watu wa rege wako ifikiria kwa na medical camp na walikuwa na pesa. Like, you see the difference between people who, when they are fighting for a cause, and when people are fighting for their own reasons. Anyway, there is a pay bill number by Hani Falsafa, one of the organizers back on the ground. That pay bill number, what it does is that it pays the medical bills for those who are hurt in the hospital. It also helps by donating money to the families who lose their members, so they can be able to reduce some of the burial costs. And these are some of the ways in which you can continue supporting and doing. If you cannot, kama unaogopa kutype Ruto must go na umechoka na yeye, tuma pesa, saidiane huko chini.
Yes.
Utakuwa umefanya a bit of activism.
Okay.
Like, that is what we want you to do. If you can come out in the streets, ukuja na CCDC, kuja uinue, hata kwa utava balklava ujifiche, utaki wa kuone, kuja. Right? Kama wewe ugopi unazoongea mbele ya TV, utoe maoni yako, your words can go far. You can inspire people, you can touch somebody, you can say something, or your message. Unaona, kama si tukiongea tulikuwa tunaongea tu. Val si ndio hiyo alifanya Kimani Machungu akamjibu. Like she started a conversation, right? And that was highlighted na hiyo clause ikatolewa. So something you say can be heard and goes a long way. Kama unaweza kuja kuongea. But all in all, it's a weekend. It's hot. I know people outside. Remember, Nuba is cheaper than a DUI. Take care of yourself. God bless you. Bye.
All right, asante sana Mika. You know, like very powerful words coming from Mika. Na Maslay Queens walikuwa na comment kwa ile post ya Mika pale Citizen. But anyway, yeah. Kevo, give us your last sentiments.
So what we want to say to the people who are holding the public offices right now, especially in the high offices, you might loot today, but then they need to know that things have changed. Your audit tumeimba hapa, the next governments will do that. And now this government has been telling us, we came here, the coffers were empty, but they are not telling us who looted the treasury. So what we are telling them, you can loot, but in the next government things will be different. So as they loot and go to bed, let them know that you'd rather live a normal life than enjoy the lavish life and then rot in prison in your old age. And my last sentiments, the worst thing that ever happened on earth has been the bombing of the nuclear in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And after the bombing, the people who were involved, and Einstein was one of them, and what they said was, what have we done? Now I'm telling the president, Mr. William Ruto, we want you to go and watch that video in parliament. Look at the youth marching forward, even when they are seeing death, but they are not scared, they are marching. And I want the president to go and meditate and ask yourself, what have you done?
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was so powerful. Yani mpaka niko speechless. Roba, your last sentiments.
Yeah, I'll start by saying same thing that my comrade here, Kevin, was saying. To Zakayo, we want you to at least start holding people accountable. I mean, tunataka ushuke, but hata in the next few weeks while you're still in the office, somebody said it in a good way. Let me try and remember. We just want you to be a caretaker of the government mpaka ushuke. So whether it's the next few months, ama the next 3 years mpaka 2027, just be a caretaker, under accountability. First of all, the massacre in Githurai and Rongai, we need answers on what happened there. We need to know how many people have actually been killed and the death count there. It's still surprising me. It's been days and
it's not 6 though.
Yeah, it's not 6. And we don't want you to go on and address the nation and start talking about price ya unga. Ati sijui price ya unga imeshuka, sijui nini. And then saying ati nimetuma vijana Qatar na Saudi Arabia. We don't want to hear that and people are dying.
Tumetenga.
It's unacceptable. And to the people here in the Kenyans in America, or the Kenyans Americans, you, like Mika was saying, your voice matters. So please, this Sunday, those of you who are in the DMV, or in at least 2 hours, 3 hours from the DMV, if you can make it and you have time, please come out to the embassy. Let's support our Kenyans brothers and sisters back home. It's the least we can do, like I said. Your voice matters. Please, just try and make a step, and a step to, make a difference for the Kenyans back home and for our future also. Because one day, I mean, we all want to go to Kenya. We don't want to die old in a foreign land. So, to the Kenyan youth back home, there's this whole, there's this whole rhetoric of not having a leader, and I understand that. But at the same time, you need to make sure your goals are aligned. So whether it's the next protests that are being planned, you need to figure out and agree on what you're going to do. But because I think the issue yesterday was some people walikuwa nasema occupy State House, wengine wana conflict, wanasema State House is a shoot on sight area, they will shoot you and you will die, so tusiende State House tuende CBD. And that ultimately divided the protests for yesterday, and it wasn't as powerful as Tuesday. I siko kwa grao, siwezi ambia watu pale ya kwenda, but I'm just telling you, the spaces in Twitter is a good place of convening and discussing. I think yesterday got to 130,000 people in the spaces on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So please convene, discuss there. You don't need a leader. You can discuss and figure out what you're doing next for your movement. And also you need to figure out the next goal, because Ruto atasumbua, atatoka kiraisi. So whether it's reconstituting IEBC and recalling all the MPs mpaka parliament mkwe na majority mtoe Ruto, if you're going that way, ama mnaongeza pressure kwa streets mpaka Ruto wenyewe aseme ECA rizani nayo na ashuke. Either way, you need to come together, re-strategize, and come with the ideas of ideas of what's next, or the next steps to the movement currently. But we are in full support of you, and I think that it was a quote by Wolfgang. He said, a revolution is never the fault of the people, but that of the government. So please, you've been pushed to the corner, and you're doing what's right for yourself and for your future and for your children and for your grandchildren. So keep going. We are supporting you 100%. We will do what we can on this side, and please keep fighting on your end. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. Just remember that.
Wow.
I remember that.
Man, when they lose our fear.
When we lose our fear, they lose their power.
When we lose our power.
No, when we lose our fear.
Okay, I was just making sure all of you are But anyway, let's go to Val.
So
Give us,
before I close, someone asked, what do the Americans want. Did you guys hear that story of they found minerals in our national parks? Okay. Anyway, you mwende mo find out about it.
That is not a good thing.
It is not a good thing. But this is what I'm telling the president. The Gen Zs have non-negotiable demands. Acha historia multi-structural,
multi-agency,
multi-agencies, just using words, maneno matamu, maneno makubwa to confuse us. But this is what I'm telling to him. First, he meets our demands, okay? Then tutatoka, we'll take it from there. It doesn't change the fact that he still has to go home. To my fellow people, no retreat, no surrender. Viva.
Aya, viva. Sawa, viva. Val, Roba, Kevo. Yes. I don't even know what to say. Asanteni sana. You know, like, I did not know what to expect in this episode. I mean, of course, I've been interacting with you guys for the past week, and I knew you guys had so much fire. But then, you know, like with our studio, you know, like there's usually very many moving parts. It's never easy to host three guests. So it was a balancing act that we really had to plan for, and we are really happy that we're able to do it, because each of the three of you has brought in a very unique perspective and a vigor that like one we've never seen before in the studio. And I think it's important for people to understand that this, of course, started from back home. And these are the people who started talking, you know, like amongst themselves before I entered that chat group, until the point where we decided, okay, we're going to be doing a protest. And you see, the thing is, we're not even thinking, you know, like, to me, this protest, you'd rather have 10 dedicated people than have 1,000 uncommitted people. I want to tell you know, like the number of people we got. I can't remember exactly how many it was. We didn't keep a record, but there was quite a big number of people came we did not expect, and I could tell you there was so much commitment from everyone we spoke to, everyone we met out there. People are volunteering, you know, like there's someone alikuwa amekama alikuwa nauza vitu akadecide at some point I'm gonna start giving this stuff out for free. You know, like people were coming with water, you know, like people were asking us, you know, like where do we send money, where do we do this? And now we are trying just to structure ourselves in a proper way in which we can do this more effectively. We're creating different working groups to work on different things, because this is gonna be there for the long haul. There are so many things that need to be worked on, and that's what we're gonna be doing. So from the bottom of my heart, Roba, Val na Kevo, asanteni sana. Val, ulikuwa na kitu hujamaliza kusema?
Yeah, we have a team, and also they've worked very diligently.
Yes.
I don't know how many of them are comfortable with us mentioning them here on the show.
Yeah.
So Juya Sita mentioned, but
Yes.
I want you to know, guys, we're so happy for your commitment, because they keep the things running behind the wheel, and it's not easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Haya, sawa sawa. Na kwa watu wa YouTube, watu wa Facebook, we thank you so much. Leo watu wa YouTube wamepeleka watu wa Facebook mbio. I had to keep up. I had to keep up with both, but YouTube is normally a bit sleepy, but leo I think a lot of Gen Zs wameingia.
Wamechangamshwa na Gen Z.
Wamechangamshwa na Gen Z.
Gen Z ndio wamewachangamsha.
Yeah, na unajua Gen Z hawako Facebook. So wao ndo watu wanaingia hapo YouTube. And then, you know, like our social media manager was telling us that now our TikTok, thanks to things we've been posting during this protest, your TikTok account is fairly new. I think it's less than 2 months or 3 months old. Yeah, and now we are getting, you know, like 300,000 views on some of the videos that we are posting. So tumepata followers mpaka sasa we can now go live on TikTok. So we're gonna try to figure how we are gonna effectively do that. So make sure you follow us on all our social media handles, and don't forget the protest is happening this Sunday at the Kenyan Embassy in Washington DC. If you're within a 5-hour driving distance, please make your way here. We want the numbers big. Whatever Jidraf said earlier is very important. We need to make a statement. We need to have big numbers, and I'm hoping now going towards that one for the IMF. I think after IMF we need to go for a protest to the White House. Here at White House, at a IMF, we want as many people as possible to come from other cities, other towns, so that we have bigger numbers. Come with your friends, one and Kenyans. Come with your friends, one and Kenyans. There's a lot of people who love Kenya. There's a lot of people, like, of course, the Haitians, they have an issue with President Ruto sending Kenyan police to Haiti. There's a lot of other African countries that are looking at us. Remember what happened in the Sahel? So this is now a different style of what happened in the Sahel. This is something different. It's a different flavor. I think Kenyans have not realized, because we've also been on Kenyan media the last 10 days or so. So we're not realizing that this thing is being covered so much by international media.
But rightfully so, charity begins at home.
Charity begins at home. And I'd also like to give credit to the media. They've really stepped up. Like on this issue of the finance bill, like haki yao wapatie, they've really stepped up. They've done a very good job in bringing in the experts, in highlighting, and of course the Gen Zs. We can't forget the Gen Zs on TikTok, on Instagram, breaking it down. Breaking it down to such simple details. Mpaka mi mwenyewe nasema, because me I'm one of those people who reads the details, but then when some of these Gen Zs explain, I'm like, that I had not thought about it from that perspective. So that has motivated me with a one Mike Show account on TikTok. I've been nimekuwa nikicheza huko, because TikTok is that one platform where nilikuwa nimesema sisi older millennials, mimi nilikuwa nimeikataa, but I think there's a lot of good things happening there.
By force by fire.
Yeah, by force by fire. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, unamkumbusha ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Val, Roba, Kelvin, asanteni sana. Aiden, daddy loves you. Njeri, daddy loves you. Nimo, daddy loves you. Until the week after July 6th, be blessed.
July 5th.
July 5th. Yes, July 5th.
Yes.
I was not close. I was not far off.
Okay. All right. So I will give that to you.
We're not close.